everybody. Finally live on YouTube as well. Good afternoon. About to dive into the reviews and re-reviews. So we got a lot on the docket today, just like yesterday, and we had a lot to do. Yesterday we had, I think, well over 60 streams, or sorry, 60 Dreamsnaps to review. Usually, my streams are about 3 hours, like that's my target time. But yeah, yesterday was about double that. We ended up streaming until almost 9:30 just to get through all the reviews that came in by 3 o'clock yesterday. So we have a few more that came in after 3 yesterday, which we have here. So there's about an additional 12 for their first time review. And then once we're done with these, we will move on to secondary reviews. And these are essentially re-reviews. People that got advice yesterday and have made changes to their snap. They're going to send me their old snap and their new snap. We're going to cross-compare and see how the changes went. And sometimes the original snap is the better option, but that's why we want to see both, because, you know, once we see some of these, or some of this advice taken into practice, sometimes the original snap just turns out to be better, or, you know, the advice is not quite what we were going for. It can happen. Yo, Angelina, hello. Oh, Bell B, thank you for the first bits of the day, my friend. Much appreciated, much appreciated. Gryffindor Panda says, I feel like watching the reviews helps me for ideas too. Yeah, a lot of people say that. You know, I bring that up often as well because even if you're not a channel member or a Twitch subscriber, you can still get great value out of these review streams just by seeing, because you're bound to see something that's similar to yours. And if you don't, that should also be a little bit of a red flag in some cases. Some challenges are just so diverse that, you know, being different is not going to be an issue at all. But if you see everybody approaching the challenge a certain way, and you're kind of off that path, it could be kind of a red flag to know this is what a lot of voters are doing or what a lot of players are doing, and understanding that is going to be very good. And then also, some of the tips and advice I give to others can definitely apply to everyone. You know, when it comes to things like lighting, saturation, color, framing, composition, or for challenges like this, certain items like the Starlight projectors are going to be very good for this week. Oh, Alfira, you got the rainbow cappy. Let's go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for the long-time support there, Alfira. Much appreciated. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get started because, like I said, we have a lot to cover. Now, before we dive into the reviews, I always like to touch on the theme first just to revisit it so we all know exactly what we're looking for here. This week's challenge is called Cozy Dreams. It states the sun is down and it's... Oh my god, no way! Dude, Anonymous, thank you!
Over 150 streams. Can't stop now. All hail the blobfish.
Oh my god, half the daily goal knocked out there in one dono. That is so kind of you. And yes, today is goal number 151. So for our past... This is crazy. For our past 150 streams in a row, we have hit our daily goal thanks to you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you for making these streams possible. It means a lot to me. I would not be able to do all the editing and all these live streams and produce content if it wasn't for the love and generosity you guys show. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, 150 is crazy. I mean, the streak has to come to an end at some point. And when that happens, guys, you should not feel bad about it at all or feel pressured to keep the number going. Like, the fact that we've hit our goal 150 days in a row is actually crazy. Our previous record on Twitch was like 113, and I've been streaming on Twitch for going on like 3 years now. Yeah, I think a little over 3 years.
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Yo, Jangle Bells. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Jenna also coming in with the love here. Thank you for the big 600. Wow, 31 already on the board. Thank you. And Bell, thank you again for the 200 biddies. All right, all right. Let's see. But yeah, 150 is wild, bro. That is wild. And this is the longest streak we've had. All right, Cozy Dreams. The sun is down and it's time for bed. Time to get cozy and capture a glowing moment filled with calm.
Notice me.
Marie. Wow, you guys are just trying to knock out the goal before we even get started here, aren't you? Thank you, thank you. Marie also coming in with the love. Very nice. Decorate and dress a scene from your favorite peaceful dream. Yo, Bobs, thank you. All right, yeah, you guys are, yep. All right, you guys knocked the goal out already, and we got a hype train. Look at that. have not even been able to read the description of the challenge yet. You guys are so fast. That is crazy. That is crazy. Well, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it, especially after all of the overtime yesterday. You know, we had a long stream yesterday. That was a big one. That was one of our longer review streams. But, you know, that's a good, healthy sign for the channel. It shows, you know, we have a lot of people joining the supporter families and submitting snaps. We see some first-timers every week. Like, every week there's somebody new in the reviews, and that's been really cool to see. Eventually, as more and more people join, I might have to start doing 3 of these streams a week. Like, maybe I'll start doing one on Saturdays or maybe even Fridays for people that submit very early. Well, Friday we do Pokopia, so I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, eventually we're going to have to figure something out. Or maybe I'll just have to go live even earlier on Mondays. We'll see. We'll see. Right now we're good. Right now we can work with it, but it is continuing to grow in popularity, so eventually we'll have to do a bit more. And thank you again, you guys. That is amazing. Haven't even gone over the description yet, and you guys are already just crushing the goal for today. Cozy dreams. The sun is down, it's time for bed. Time to get cozy and capture a glowing moment filled with calm. Decorate and dress. I think they meant to say 4 right here. Decorate and dress a scene from your favorite peaceful dream. I'm pretty sure they meant 4. Decorate and dress for a scene from your favorite peaceful dream. So the keywords here would be cozy for one. It's in the title. Cozy dreams. And then glowing moment is also important. Because, you know, if you have those glowing elements in your photo, it's going to feel more dreamy. And then it mentions a peaceful dream that just ties in with cozy. So cozy, glowing, peaceful. Okay? Those are some big keywords that kind of help you determine what kind of dream you're going to create. With that, let's get into the people that did not get their review, their first review yesterday, starting with Cyber Lucy. So we got Cyber Lucy here. Let's bring you over. I'm going to move my Discord to my third monitor real quick. Let's set this over here. There we go. Okay. And let me make sure I have both Twitch and YouTube chat pulled up as well. There we go, there we go. All right. I just noticed in the YouTube chat, your donos show up there now too, thanks to the Streamlabs bot. That's fun. All right. Oh, Alyssa B. the Lord, a first-time chatter. Hello, my friend, hello. Welcome to the stream. All right, Cyber Lucy here says, looking for advice? Well, let's take a look at the snap here. So you got the bed right in the foreground. Character a little further away. Bookshelf, chair. Now your dream scene is very pretty. I like you have good glowing elements. It does feel like a peaceful dream. Also, these whimsical companions, we've touched on these for this challenge. These are very good for this dream-like setting. As they glow, they put off light, they're very ethereal, so these are going to be good as well. You have some great decor back here. Utilizing a lot of good items. Now, one thing I would recommend as a...
Always appreciate the streams and help.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. One thing I would recommend for this one. There are a lot of very strong photos out there that... Let me show you what I mean. I think we have some probably here. Yeah, there's a lot of photos out there that show their dreamscapes as pretty much a majority of the photo. And it's going to be a little harder to beat these photos in terms of beauty when they can show more of that dream environment. Now, if you don't pop up against those, you should be totally fine. And we had some good ones yesterday. We'll probably be able to come back to yours, Cyber Lucy, because I want to get some more reference points to kind of break down what I'm getting at here. This snap will beat a lot of snaps. It has a shot at 4K for sure. But if you're unlucky, you might pop up against a lot of snaps that can beat you in terms of beauty just because they'll have more of the fun glowing, the fun colors like along the sides and throughout the whole photo. I would only do the bookshelf and the chair and the rug if you absolutely have to. Like if you're short for time. I mentioned this in my Thursday video, my tips for this theme. There are some really good bedroom scenes out there. We had one yesterday that was immaculate. They had, the whole foreground was built into the bedroom, and they had a very well textured kind of indoor-outdoor bedroom situation with loads of detail. When you do something like that, I think the bedroom is actually very beneficial. But in your case, I would say, rather than the bookshelf and the chair here, if we could see, you have a beautiful dream scene in the back. Like this glow bouncing off of the cloud house here, the aurora in the background, the glowing mushrooms. If you were to do a scene, let me go. Yeah, of course it's raining. It's always raining in my game. Let's go to my Frosted Island. If you were to do a dream scene without the bedroom, but just the bed, because that's really all you need to convey that you've entered this dream, I think you could get a lot more beauty out of your photo. Now, like I said, in some cases, the bedroom is really, really worth keeping. But in that case, I would say it would have to be a bedroom that has a lot of detail, some storytelling elements. But in your case, I do think the bed and capitalizing on how beautiful your dream scene is throughout your photo would give you an even higher likelihood of 4K. That said, this does have a good shot at 4K. The dream scene in the back is very beautiful. The avatar is well styled. I like the whimsical companion. But I would love a shot where we saw more of this really enchanting scene you have in the back. Now, if you do end up keeping the bed and, losing the walls, I would go with a bed without the big canopy, because about 25% of your shot is the canopy from the bed. This whole top corner is taken up by the canopy. So when it comes to using a bed, having it a little further back and not taking up as much of your scene is going to allow you to have more of that natural beauty from that dream element come into play. And what we've seen with a lot of voters is they tend to prioritize two things, and that's theme and beauty. So the more beauty you can squeeze into your dream snap with things like starlight projectors and the aurora and those glowing elements that you have, the more likely you are to beat your opponent. So don't get me wrong, this is very beautiful. You have a beautiful scene here. I think it would be even stronger, though, if we saw more of this dreamscape in the back, and you can still deliver on the storytelling with just a bed. Because as it stands right now, the bedroom, we have this bookshelf on the left and this chair right here and the canopy from the bed. It's taking up a lot of space in the photo. Now, that won't hurt you at all, I think, if you don't happen to pop up against a bunch of photos that have that higher level of beauty across the entire screen or across, like, most of their photo. If you pop up against those, it might cost you some votes. But if you don't, you should be good for 4K. It just depends, because you did the theme very well, and your photo is very beautiful. Precious is next. I have two to choose from. Let me move you back over here. So you had this one first, and then you had this one, but it looks like you dialed it in with one additional snap here. And now this one. Okay. I have two to choose from. Something about Cozy Dream reminds me of pastels and soft music. I had a piano and harp for a sleepy effect. The hourglass is to signify time for bed. And I chose Fairy Godmother to send good dreams. No daughter this Friday. She's too cool for me. Any feedback will be great, but I think I'm getting the hang of snaps. Good, Precious, good. All right, so 3 options here. Got 1, 2, and 3. Now, this is a really nice bedroom you have here. I was just talking about the bedrooms and the spacing for the beds. But I like that you have the dream elements coming into the bedroom. You have this bright glowing light in the bedroom. I like the vines coming up on the wall. You have some elements in the foreground of the bedroom, but we can see over them, and we get a lot of your dream scene here. Now, I do like the changes you've made already with your final snap. The fact that you moved the cottage back a little bit more, you got the avatar a little closer, and you were able to get some extra details around the cloud cottage, so that's very nice. The shooting star bouncing off the ground here is pretty cute as well. And yeah, Fairy Godmother, I think, is a good, character to add in. I will say, though, I clarified this in the rule changes, so don't worry about it for this week. But when you send your snap, as far as information about the snap, you can communicate to me if you're, if you didn't have a lot of time. If you're like, I only had 30 minutes on this week, so keep that in mind. I only have a little bit of time for changes. You can communicate that. Or you can say, I'm a new player, so I don't have a lot of items. Oh, we got a raid coming in. Yo, thank you for the raid. Welcome. You're here just in time. Starting off our Dreamsnap reviews. Hello. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you guys are having a great day. Pixels and Papers. Thank you, my friends. Great to have you. All right. But what, so I would, when you submit your snap, it's fine to communicate, anything that is impacting the building of the snap, that should be communicated. That way I can keep that in mind when I give my advice. But I would refrain from explaining the snap to me. Like, I wouldn't say why you used a certain villager. I wouldn't say why you use certain items, and here's why. You will not be able to tell voters that. So, when you send the snap over, it's best to see if I can figure out why you're using certain things myself. And if you tell me why you're using them, then I already have that information, and I might not have guessed otherwise, but you won't be able to explain your snap to voters, so I would avoid explaining it when you send it over. That way you can see if I can pick up on the items you're using and the concept you're going for, because that's going to be important for voters as well. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry about it this week, but I clarified that in the rules here recently. All right, now as far as your options here, yeah, I like the rainbow coming in. The newest one, I think, is good. I think this is your best option. But one thing I would certainly recommend here would be the Dreamlight or the Starlight projectors. I've recommended those a lot. They are very good for this challenge, and they would work very well with the pastel colorations you have. Having one on the right-hand side out of frame here, like towards what's pushing your camera up, and then having one on the left-hand side, it's going to add a nice sparkle and some more nice glowing elements to this dream. So I think those are very strong items this week. I've shown them a lot yesterday. Like if you look, I have two here. Of course, this wouldn't be how my final snap looks, but having the projectors, you get these nice sparkles on the side of your scene, which makes it feel even dreamier, and you get this nice like purple hue, which would go really well with what you have going on there. So if you have those, which I think they're in the same bundle as that pillow set you're using, so it could be very good to use. But yeah, I like the way you framed this one here. And the bedroom here is actually very strong. Like I said, the bedroom itself feels dreamy. One thing I've seen with a lot of the bedroom builds is that the snap would have actually been stronger without the walls and without some of those larger elements. Hey, thank you for the super chat.
For the review.
You are very, very welcome, my friend. And thank you for supporting the content. That is very kind of you. Very kind. We've already hit today's goal, coming in with even more love. Thank you, thank you. So, in this case, I think the room complements the dream space very well. And you get a lot of beauty from the dream space here, but that beauty is kind of bleeding into the room. So I think this photo could contend well against photos that have a full dream scene within their environment. So yeah, overall very strong. The only recommendation I have here would be to consider adding the Starlight projectors. I think those would add even more beauty to this. But yeah, I like the structure of the dream. I like the items we're using. And I love how you used, I think that's Beast flower stall you have behind the bed. I love that you use that as the backdrop for the wall. Having the vines growing on it, you know, that light shining through it. Looks really good. Or maybe that could be like the greenhouse. I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks really pretty. So yeah, very well designed bedroom space. I think this has a very high likelihood of 4K here. Ultimately, as always, it'll come down to like what you pop up against. Bobbity Boo is next. Okay, very cool. Here's my take on Cozy Dreams. I wanted to give the feeling of Lisa Frank-inspired fantasy dream world with a little help from friends. Thank you. This is the result. Okay. Keep in mind for next week, Bobbity Boo, same thing I was telling Precious. Try to avoid, you know, explaining the concept or idea because you will not be able to do that for voters. In this case, I'm not really familiar with a Lisa Frank-inspired fantasy dream world, so I'll just... You know, so it won't really make a difference here for me. Okay, the outfit is really fun. This dress is actually a really good choice for the way you've structured the sides of the shot. The purple light from the street lights you have on the outside here, adding this purple hue on the left and right, gives it a very good magical dreamlike feel. You have the bed pretty close by, very noticeable to communicate the dream itself. And then the waterfalls you're using, these actually emit a glow. That's why these ones are so good to have. They actually glow blue with the water, so it makes them more noticeable, gives it even more of a dream feel. And I love the rainbow in the back with the unicorn here as well. Very fun features, very good dream. It feels peaceful, it feels cozy, it feels magical, it feels like a dream. You got some good glowing elements here, you know, at least with the lights and the water. So yeah, very solid, very solid. If you have the starlight projectors, I think those would be really good here too, especially having this like purple and pink light here on the side. It would just add a little bit at the base too, and it would add sparkles to the side. And they're very light too. They're not like overly, you know, they're not over the top sparkly. It would just add some nice little twinkles to the dream, so that could be very fun. Great shot of the avatar here as well. A lot of people are doing pajamas, but you definitely don't have to. You can dress for your dream, or you can dress to showcase that you're dreaming. So both of these work. I like the outfit you've assembled, though. The dress is nice, the crystals are nice, the cape works good here, and it actually matches the crown really well. And you've also put some work into the makeup, so very good job with the character look here. Yeah, overall, very solid. There's not much room for me to really suggest adding anything in. You filled out the snap really well. And even if you did have room to add things in, I'm not sure what you would add here. Like, you could do, like, Forgotten Lands crystals in a couple of spots if you wanted some extra details. But it's very full out. It's very beautiful. It's very well balanced. And it showcases the dream and the avatar very well. So I think this has a strong likelihood of 4K. The beauty factor is very high. And yeah, that dream feel is very prominent here. Especially with the bed, that leaves no doubt, you know, that you're experiencing a dream. So very nice, Bobbity Boo. Strong snap. Janet is next. We got 1 and 2. Janet said, snap these fast to get some advice. Not submitting either. Kind of not sure where to go from here. Please help. Okay. So first off, I likely would not do indoor on this one. I've seen, you know, yesterday we reviewed a lot of snaps. I only saw a couple of indoor snaps. And, you know, one of them was kind of off theme. The other one was on theme, but it wasn't as strongly on theme as some other submissions would be, but they were both very beautiful. Now, here's the thing, Janet, when it comes to submitting an indoor photo, there's some things you always want to avoid. Never show the void. So this black corner down here, never let the camera angle leave the room. It breaks the immersion. It looks like we're looking into a box. So this open doorway here where we can see the void, and then this corner down here where we can see the void. Another thing is, don't show too much of the ceiling unless you've done something with the ceiling. So you can tilt the camera down in that sense. Let me show you some examples of some indoor dream snaps. But if you're looking for what you can do for this challenge, if you're looking for advice on how to approach it, I make a video every Thursday that gives some tips and advice, like well before these reviews, on the second day that the challenge has been out. So on Wednesday, I build some example scenes, and on Thursday, I drop my tips video. So in that tips video, I provide several examples of how you can approach this challenge. And if you're looking for ideas, that would be a great place to start. Because with this being a review stream, you know, if you just put these together quickly and threw them in, you know, if you check out the rules of these review streams, they're for completed snaps that you're ready to submit and you're looking for final thoughts and advice on those snaps. Because in this case, you know, I would have to give you like a full from scratch kind of premise for how to approach this stream snap. I mean, you could go with the indoor setting, you know, this like ocean-y dream if you wanted to, but it's going to be tricky. And I feel like it's going to be difficult to contend with some of the other dreams that are out there. That's why a lot of people, even the people that are doing bedrooms, they're kind of building them outside so they can have like an open dream element, if that makes sense. So I would highly recommend checking out the Thursday video, because that's going to give you 3 really great examples and directions that you can go in. Now, for indoor snaps, if you do want to stay with the indoor idea here, if you want to stay with this beachy kind of dream, underwater dream, looking through the aquarium, so you have like the fish floating around, is cool. It's like a fun idea. But what breaks the illusion, what makes it not work, is the void right here and the door over here and the ceiling. You would want to set your angle up to where we can't see the ceiling. We could just see the blue walls, so it feels like bubbles. And the floor you chose works good as the sand. But if you're going to go with an illusion like this, you got to do your best to try to make it very believable, if that makes sense. Don't expect the, you know, voters to force it to work in their mind. The more you can convince them that they're looking at a scene underwater, the better. So leaving out those elements that kind of shatter the illusion is going to be very important. Now, for an indoor snap, like this was Coziness Beyond the Stars. This was another, indoor snap here. You'll notice in this one, there's no void. You can't see the outside of the room at all, and you can't see the ceiling at all. But you can see the decor on the ceiling. You see the chandeliers. You see the hanging vines. You know, you see some of the pillars in the back. You see the windows. But we're not showing a lot of the ceiling because it's not always necessary in the indoor snaps, and we're not showing any of the void. And that's going to be very important with any indoor submission. Now, in some cases, it's totally fine to show the ceiling, but like I said, having it decorate is important. This got ranked 21. This was Dreamlight Art Gallery. And as you can see here, we can see the ceiling. This is before we could change ceiling textures. But on the ceiling, we have shadows being cast from the lights. We have some hanging braziers. We have some beautiful chandeliers. So we're showing those off. And it's also allowing us to show off more of the top walls over here. But again, no void, right? So that's kind of the key to going with an indoor build, is making sure you only show the inside of the room and never the outside, because it's just a black emptiness and it brings no value into the photo. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, you have a fun concept, like looking through the fish tank. I actually really like that. Having the fish, like, swimming around in your, like, ocean room here. But I would definitely not make this in the main foyer of your house, because you can't put a door here. You can't kind of seal that off. You could put something in front of it to block it. But I would go to one of your side rooms for a build like this. And then, you know, you could take the door and move it to the corner that we can't see. So to the left of you, like behind this bed, you could have the door back there, and then we wouldn't see it at all. But you can't move the door in this main room. And that's why this main room is never really a great place to build, because there's never really an instance where you're going to want to use that frame, because there's no, you can't put a door there. It limits, and since you can't put a door there, you can't move it. So if you want to go with this idea, I would move to a different room. I would move the door you came into out of frame. And make sure you don't choose a middle room that has 3 doors, because you're going to want a lot of this blue wall. And you can look through the fish tank, but I would try to angle the camera down a bit to show less of the ceiling. And for your lights, you could use some fun blue lights, like even the frozen chandelier. Like, yes, it's ice, but it puts off some great blue light, and it could be a nice blue glow for your ocean scene. All that said, though, I do think it would be a better idea to check out the video I did on Thursday. If you're looking for ideas on how to approach the challenge, I would definitely start there. Snowdrop Sky is next. Snowdrop says, very new to Dreamlight Valley and looking for advice for Dreamsnap improvement. Wasn't sure what to do with the background. Thank you. Okay. So we have the bed here, and a very foresty dream. So I want to touch on the keywords in the theme, Snowdrop. So your dream definitely feels cozy and peaceful, which is good. But one of the things that was brought up in the description is capture a glowing moment filled with calm. And the reason they used that word glowing in particular is because when it comes to making something feel like a dream, having these glowing elements, having, you know, items that put off light, it makes it feel a bit more magical and a bit more dreamy. So like this one, for example, they have the street lights casting all of this pink light over here behind their wall. They have lights behind the cloud cottage. We can see some like blue or yellow light way back here. Oh, and for this one, by the way, one thing I forgot, aside from the starlight projectors, if you have the Aurora Borealis, that would look really good in your sky, by the way. But yeah, you'll see that in, you know, just like this one. That's why for this one, you know, this has such a strong dream feel, which is why the main advice I had for this one was expanding on that. Play it up because it's very strong. This dream space in the back looks very solid. If we saw more of this, I feel like it would do even better, but it's an absolutely beautiful dream scene. But, you know, they have the glowing companion. There's glowing mushrooms. There's the Aurora. Now, I know as a new player, you're probably not going to have a lot of these glowing items. So, you know, you'll be more limited on what you can utilize, which makes things a little bit tricky. Fear not, though. Fear not. There are some items you can get fairly early on. For example, if we go back to this snap, you see all this beautiful purple light, pink light coming in on the sides. All that light, that's just from street lights. They cast like a kind of a haze of light around them. Certain ones you can craft. The lampposts and the street lights. There are the taller ones that you craft with iron. So what I would recommend for your dream here, I would try to make it a little bit dreamier. Right now it feels like, you know, it's a beautiful forest with the magnolias, and, you know, I like the bed here, this little set here. But if you have this bed and this pillow set, that means you also have the starlight projectors, which if you put those outside of the frame on the left and right, that's going to add a purple glow with sparkles on the side. That's going to make it feel dreamier. You could also have street lights behind some of these trees for like a pink or purple glow behind the forest. And those are things you can access as a newer player. Of course, they do take iron to craft. Now, the starlight projectors, those you can just buy from Scrooge. And since you have this bed, you do have the starlight projectors. They're going to be very good on the sides here. So the main advice I have for this one is I would try to make it a bit dreamier. And keep in mind, you know, the challenge stating capture a glowing moment. I see you have candles here, but that's, you know, and then these tulip lamps have a soft glow to them. But those are really only the glowing elements. And you will likely, if you get in close to the 4K range, you're likely going to pop up against a lot of photos that are very heavy with the dream feel. You know, they're going to have a lot of glowing elements. And with only the tulips and the candles to kind of give that magical dream feel, it could fall short for some voters, especially with other snaps having a bit more diversity in the decor they're using. So this one, we have the bioluminescent flowers, we have the fiddlehead fern, we have the purple mushrooms, we have the blue fairy tale tree, this thing right here that glows, the giant blue mushroom in the back, the crystal tiles right here, Forgotten Lands crystal right here, whimsical companion. You know, there's all these different, you know, details even in just this small pocket. Now this, your dream space, is like the whole frame, but, you know, we got the blossom trees, which are beautiful, but we mostly see the wood on the left and right, and then the backdrop is a row of magnolias. So the decor isn't quite as diverse as it's going to be in a lot of other really good, really strong dream submissions. When it comes to getting 4K, keep in mind that 96 out of every 100 players will fail. Only 4% of players get 4K. So you have to beat 96% of players to get there. Now, this is a beautiful photo. This will likely get votes, and it could potentially get 4K. It just depends on what it pops up against. That said, I think it could have a much higher chance if you played up that dream element a little bit more. So things like the starlight projectors, street lights in the background. You have good light coming in. Like you're using the sunset time of day. You have good saturation. So there are some good strengths here. And I think if you played up those strengths and made this feel a bit dreamier, you would be able to contend with other snaps that have a very strong dreamy feel. So that's the main advice I have for this one. You'll also see a lot of players benefit from getting close to the camera. I don't think that's something you absolutely have to do this week, because I think the feeling of making it a dream is going to be just as important as the presentation of the avatar. So I think we're going to see a lot of scenes that are like really beautiful. And even with the avatar being smaller like yours is, I think they're still going to get 4K for sure. But keep in mind, you know, for a lot of challenges, it's going to be ideal to be close like this and showcase the avatar really well. But yeah, the way you present the avatar here is fine, just letting you know for the future, since you're a newer player. There are items that can push your camera up towards the avatar while you're still in portrait mode. Not the free mode where you zoom in. That one has a downward angle, and it's much harder to appreciate the scene when it's looking down. But in portrait mode, where it looks straight forward, there's items like the Vizier's Alchemy Table, the large rocks, Oswald's car. If you put these items in front of you, it'll push your photo camera forward and let you get closer to the avatar. But yeah, main advice I have for you on this one is I would really consider what the challenge said about capturing a glowing moment and do what you can to make this feel more like a dream and less like reality. So, again, starlight projectors, the aurora in the back sky, if you have it. As a new player, you might not have it, but it could be very pretty in the tree line. And then including, like, purple or even red, because the red streetlights look more pink than they do red. But having, like, purple and red streetlights behind these magnolias, or maybe even inside of them a bit. Like, if you push them up right against the back of the magnolia, it'll actually have, like, the whole tree kind of glowing. So you can get some good value out of the scene you already have by playing up to its strengths. Mercuria Llama. Looks like yours was removed. Beagle Mama, thank you, my friend. Thank you. And hello. So nice of you. Dang. Yeah, we've already hit the goal. You guys are still showing love. I think we're actually at 6,000 now because we had a $5 super chat as well. Gryffindor Panda is next. Okay. Thank you for all your thoughts and ideas. I'm new to Dreamlight Valley, says Gryffindor Panda. All right, all right. Well, at first glance, the biggest struggle this snap is going to face, Gryffindor, is your lighting. So it is very dark. Now I know nighttime can be tricky to work with if you're not accustomed to the camera or aware of all the good items you can use at night. A lot of people struggle with nighttime shots because it takes a little while to really grasp how to use nighttime as an advantage. And when it comes to night shots, what makes them work, like this is also a night shot, but notice how well lit the avatar is. Notice how well lit Fairy Godmother is. Notice how we have all of these items in the shot that are putting off light, like these shooting stars. There's street lights behind the wall here. There's a rainbow here. We have more lights in the back of the scene. There's fireflies. So we have all these items that cast and put off light. That's what you want to do when you do a night shot. You want to use the night to your advantage. We see it here as well. This is also a nighttime shot, but it's a very stark contrast to what we have here. Now, when people vote Gryffindor, they make their decision very quick. Most people know which snap they're going to vote on within the first few seconds of seeing both snaps pop up on the screen. And a lot of people vote on smaller screens. A lot of people are voting on Nintendo Switch, or Steam Deck, or even Apple Arcade. So, if these two photos popped up next to each other, which one, these are both nighttime photos, but which one is going to capture the attention of the voter first? It's definitely going to be the one on the left, right? Because this one, everything's very hard to see, especially when I made it smaller. When you build your snap, you might be looking at it on a television screen or on a computer monitor, or maybe you have your brightness turned up. You have to remember, not everybody's going to see it that way. A lot of people are going to see it just like I put it for you here, where it's small. That's why it's good to be close to the avatar like we are here. It's good to have a well-lit scene. All of these things are going to help you stand out even on small screens. That's why it's so popular to be close to the avatar. And that's also why it's so important to make sure your scene is very well lit. So what can you do to fix this? Well, in the case of this photo, you're going to have to adjust some of your sliders. And if you're a new player, that can be very tricky. Because if you're not used to your sliders, you know, it's just, it's kind of hard to figure out. You got to experiment a lot. But when it comes to getting 4,000 moonstones, the most important tool in your arsenal is the camera. And you're really going to want to learn how to use that camera to its full potential. So here's my snap at nighttime. So the first thing you notice is, like yours, it's now very dark, with the exception of a few items. You know, the items I have that are putting off light. Those ones we can still see well, but my avatar we can barely see. Rapunzel we can barely see. But watch what happens when I increase character lighting. Now, we still have that nighttime feel we want, but now the voter can easily see my avatar. Now, keep in mind, character lighting only hits the front and the left-hand side of the avatar. It's as if the moonlight is coming from that direction. So, if I were to turn around like you are, like you're facing this way, looks like the character lighting's still on, even though I'm out of the camera. Let's see if it's still going to work here. Yeah, and we still get the benefit even when we face away. So, right now your character looks like this. If you were to increase the character lighting, we would see your avatar so much better. But that's not the only thing you want to change, because going back to your photo here, even if you did change that, the rest of your scene is still very dark. So we're going to come over here where I don't have any glowing stuff. And we're going to go back to nighttime. Okay. If you adjust your highlight, look at how much brighter the scene became from adjusting highlight. This is default. this is highlight turned up. So we have a very dark photo, and now we don't. So these sliders are going to be very important if you're doing a shot at night like this. Now, unfortunately, we have so many snaps to get to today, I can't really walk you through like all the camera functionality. But what I can do is encourage you to start experimenting with and fully understanding what this camera is capable of. You need to avoid ever submitting photos that are this dark. That doesn't mean you can't take a shot at night. You know, we've seen several good nighttime shots today. But again, if you pop up against anything that has good lighting, it is going to be very hard to get good performance. And to be honest with you, lighting is one of the biggest things that separates a Dreamsnap from 1,500 moonstones and 4,000 moonstones. A snap that could have gotten 4,000 moonstones will likely only get 2,500, 1,500, or even 1,200 if it doesn't have proper lighting. Because experienced players that understand the camera, they're going to know how to take advantage of this game's lighting and of these sliders. So if you go into Dreamsnaps hoping to get 4K and you haven't learned this camera tool yet, you're going to be facing an uphill battle. So your focus right now, I would make it 100% on fully understanding the camera. There are some other things I would like to help you with this snap. But I think this is something that we'll need to work up towards in terms of your snap production. For now, I would definitely boost highlight so we can see the scene. You can boost character lighting, but I likely wouldn't boost light bloom much, because when you boost character lighting, if you boost light bloom, this companion is going to overwhelm the scene a little bit. And then when it comes to building walls, it's a bit trickier when you have like just the straight white wall scenes. I do like that you added some great details to the room down here. Like, you've got some well-structured foreground. You have items in both corners, and that's very good. You put some good thought into the room at the base. The biggest thing we need to work on here again is the overall display of the snap and the lighting. So boosting highlight is really going to help with that. And in, I love the bottom of your shot. Like, I like how you decorated the rooms, or the room itself. But the walls, using the memory partitions as the walls, I would make your dream space wider for sure. So I would get rid of this wall right here, even if you had to move this desk over, because a lot of your light and beauty is going to be coming from the dream, if that makes sense. You can boost highlight to get more visibility on the room, but most of the beauty of your shot, and that's what a lot of voters are looking for, they're looking for a beautiful photo. Most of the beauty from this challenge is 100% going to be coming from that dream. If the dream you're showing us is only like a small open doorway and the rest of the photo is the bedroom, you're going to have a hard time against photos that really capitalize on how much beauty they can get, they can squeeze out of these dreams. So, biggest advice here is adjust your sliders, especially highlight, so your nighttime shot is more visible. Adjust your character lighting so your avatar is more visible. And then consider opening up this wall a little bit. I usually would say get rid of the room, but one thing you've actually done really well here is the way you've detailed the room. So I think you should keep it. But I think, you're putting too much thought into the room and not enough thought into showing us the dream. You're showing us this rainbow and the Ferris wheel, but we only get to see a tiny, tiny window into the dream, and we see a lot of the room. And this challenge is about the dream. So the dream needs to take center stage here. And it can if you just open this wall up a little bit, and we can see more of it. So that's the advice I have for this one. And yeah, throughout, as you work on this, try to really get accustomed with all the sliders. Experiment a lot with the camera. Once you master the camera tool, you will be so much better off in terms of consistently being able to earn 4K. But until then, like I said, it's an uphill battle because most of the people you're competing with do fully understand utilizing this camera and what these sliders can do. That's why your competitors have these nighttime scenes that are offering so much more vibrant color and light. And it's going to be very hard to contend with them. Keep in mind, out of every 100 players, only 4 are going to get 4,000 moonstones. And that's what these reviews are for, is to help you get to that point. So the top 4% of all Dreamsnaps gets the 4,000 moonstone reward. So you're on, and the people that can consistently do that, the people that do that week after week after week, those people are pretty much solidified in the top 4% of all Dreamsnaps players. You better believe most of them are very knowledgeable on the camera tool and exactly how to utilize it. And that's your competition. In order for you to get 4K, somebody else has to be out of 4K. So just keep that in mind. Learn that camera tool. Great job on the base of the bedroom here. You got a good eye for the foreground and the detail in the environment. But really try to get used to those sliders. And for any Dreamsnap challenge, not just this one, emphasize beauty over everything else. Theme, is equal to beauty. Theme needs to be there. But you can get the theme out of this snap with like just a bed. We've seen a lot of beautiful shots that have just a bed in this beautiful dreamscape. And we've seen a lot of beautiful rooms where the rooms have some good true beauty. Like we saw that with this one. Like this is a bedroom, but they have lights and vines and like a lot of fun details and, a lot of beauty in the room. So if you are going to show the room, you want to try to make it as beautiful as possible. That way you can maximize the beauty of your photo, because really that's what's going to move voters to choose your photo over your opponents. Okay, Miss Joe is next. Oh, very nice, Miss Joe. Very solid. I know I submitted late, but if possible, I'd love your advice. Thank you. Of course, of course. And I like this. Yeah, I think you did a great job here, Miss Joe. This is one of my favorite beds to see in this theme. I just love the roses. The bed has a great beauty factor. There's a lot of beds in the game that just aren't very beautiful. Some feel really boxy. Some feel kind of worn down. This bed, on the other hand, has these string lights on it that put off this nice glow. It's got these roses, it's got these ribbons, and there's a little book on it. And you capitalize on that by putting a few more books around. I like the crystal cloudland that you made. So we got the Mickey cloud in the back. You got some air balloons. You have these crystal pathway pieces. And then you have these medium-sized crystals and these large crystals. You're using a lot of stuff I talked about in my Thursday video. So very cool to see that. Very cool to see that. These are all a lot of really great items for a dream scene. Because I showed 3 different concepts. And this was actually my favorite concept for, like a crystal cloudy dream. It's just really pretty. We have great items for this. So you have the New Year's celebration lanterns, Cinderella's castle, the cloud house, all the crystals in the back, of course. The aurora in the sky, and this beautiful bed here. The dress works good with the environment as well. Now, it looks like you are using some pure ice, and also you have Dreamlight projectors on the side, it seems. Yeah, I see the sparkles. I see sparkles right here and right here. So it's giving it a very nice glow on the edges of the scene. Now, back by your crystals, I see you are using some pure ice back here and some Forgotten Lands crystals and also some fairy bubbles. These are fun details, but they're so far back. You can keep these here, but I would definitely take some of these details and move them closer in. Like having a little bit of crystal action, like maybe behind the pillows here. And maybe around the edge of this little rest nook right here. Like if you took some of these crystals and you put them around this one. They're fun details, but with them being so far away, they're not impacting the scene as much as they could be. I do like them back here. I'm just saying I think it would be totally worth putting some around you here too. You don't have to overwhelm the area. Just placing like 3 or 4 around here would be fun. Like a little bit of pure ice over here, a little forgotten crystal over here by this pillow, maybe some pure ice and forgotten crystal right here around this crystal, this pink one. Just as some fun additional detail. But aside from that, with this the way it is right now, even if you don't make any changes, I think this is a good contender for 4K. I think it's very likely. The way you styled the horse here, excellent job. Matches very well with the, you know, purpley, pink, and blue crystals. Pretty much the exact same color we see there. Again, dress ties in well with the dream. And Frosted Heights is a very solid location for a build like this. So yeah, very good job, Miss Joe. Very likely for 4K with this, very likely. Kimberly is next. And you got this one. And originally you had this one, but you made some changes to it. Okay. So this was the original. I think this was a wise choice, Kimberly. You had a pretty nice little bedroom here. I like that you didn't just use the same bookshelf or the same item 4 times to make your wall. You had like a wooden one, like the brown wood, and then you did the white wood. So I do like that your room had a little bit of texture to it. When you make an indoor-outdoor room like this, it's a good idea to, not use the same item over and over to make your wall. So it's nice that you broke it up a little bit. And the carpet looks good, bed looks good, little vanity's fun. You get your character lighting boosted, which is great. But the downside was we didn't get to see much of your dream, and that's where so much of your beauty is going to come from. So it looks like you pivoted and you went more into the dream here. Now, the puff balloons are fun, and the moon in the back is very pretty. The Pegasus pose is very peaceful and calm. But there are a few things I would change here. I think that would make this a little bit stronger. Number 1, I would angle the bed towards you, not away from you. Make it look like, it's an element of storytelling if you think about it. If you have the bed angled towards you as if you just got out of the bed, it kind of seems like the dream just began and you're, feeling very peaceful and cozy within that dream. So if you look at the shot here, it doesn't have to be on the same side that mine is. But, if you take the bed, not only that, but look at how beautiful the bed is when you look at it straight on. You have these lights that wrap around the top. You can see the ribbons on the side a bit better, and you get to see these beautiful roses. Whereas when we look at how you're using the bed, it's facing away from you. It's not as visible. We can barely see the pillows within the canopy, and we don't get that same level of beauty we could get from the bed if it were facing towards you. So I do highly recommend taking the bed and positioning it a little bit differently. That way we can see the pillows inside. You're going to be right in front of it as if you're just stepping into this dream. It's a great element of storytelling. On top of that, some other recommendations I have here would be to break up your background a little bit. Just like I was telling our other friends here a moment ago, in order for you to get 4K, 96 other individuals will not be getting 4K. If you're going to be one of the 4 out of 100 that get it. So only 4% of players. The other 96% will not get it. So when it comes to getting 4K, going that extra mile with the effort you put in is going to be important. So you want to avoid, being too repetitive with your items. And the backdrop here just only being the orange crystals, I think is a little bit of a missed opportunity, and it would not take you much longer to add some of the other colors, or at the very least, put street lights behind these crystals to give a nice glow to the backdrop. So right now we can kind of see right through them, and you could make this feel even more magical if you put street lights behind them, and we had, a blue glow or even a yellow glow behind the crystals. But I would definitely add some of the alternate crystals as well if you have them. And if you don't, I would certainly be putting some lights back there behind them just to amplify the beauty element of this. Now, you did drop, we have some pure ice back here. We have a crystal over here. And we have some forgotten crystals over here too. But you have so much room. And you're not utilizing a lot of it. Like, we have space right here where you can put some crystals. And when they're far away like this, they're not really going to be seen by a lot of players. Because also, like we discussed with previous reviews, a lot of people are going to see your snap. They vote fast. A lot of people vote fast, and they vote on small screens. So for a lot of people, when they have your snap pop up, it's going to look like this, and they're not going to enlarge it. They're going to see the Aurora because it's large. They're going to see you because you're at the front, and they'll see these puff balloons, but they're not going to really see these details back here. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want details back there. You do want your snap to feel full and well thought out, but it's way more important for you to have good details close to the front of the scene. So I think you got some missed opportunities with the front of the snap here. Like, you could have a white rose coming up to the front of the shot here. You could have a crystal here. You could have pure ice over here. You could take one of those pink pillows and put it right here next to these pillows. You have one right here, but it's kind of behind the rest, and you have this opening here. So I think you've gone in a very good direction with your snap. I'm glad you pivoted away from the original bedroom concept, because what would have hurt this one, and this could have gotten 4K, depending on what it popped up against, but I think it would have struggled against some of the dream scenes that carry a high level of beauty. This one can actually contend with them a lot better, but we need to highlight the bed more, and we need to try to beautify the foreground and midground a little bit, and diversify the background a bit. I think if you do those things, you'll have a very, very solid chance for 4K. And already you have a better chance at 4K with the photo you have now versus the photo you had before. So, looking good on the changes so far. Ash said, I'm having a hard time being confident this week. Okay, so we have this one and this one. All right. Well, I'll say, Ash, I really like the backdrop here. I really like the blue swirls. But I think you probably already have an idea of why you're not feeling confident with this. And I would say you probably know it's the bed. So if you want to sit on the bed, you know, for your shot, we saw some people do that yesterday using the magic carpet pose. But I would do a bed without a headboard for sure. Because this is adding so much, like, just emptiness to the shot. Like this whole dark black headboard here. We can't really see most of your character. We can't see most of the bed. So if you do want to go with this approach, I would definitely choose a bed without that. Well, that's not even a headboard. It's more like a footboard. But yeah, the board of the base here. I would choose a bed that does not have that, because it's completely obstructing our view of you actually being seated on the bed. And we did see some shots yesterday of people that were actually on the bed, but they were all using beds that didn't obstruct the shot. If this front board wasn't here, this would be so much stronger. So one of the things you might need to do here is switch the bed. Go to something that's going to look, you know, a little better here. Now, between your shots, these are both really pretty. You know, aside from the, you know, the bed. I love the blue here. I love the glow from the moon. And I like this one a lot, too, because of the purple. You know, you have these really fun purple hues coming off of the bubbles and coming from the Dreamlight projectors on the sides. That said, if you did go with this one, I would definitely bring the left-hand Dreamlight projector in a bit, because we can see the light from the one on the right really well, but we can't see it at all from the one on the left. We can see the sparkles, but we can't see much of the light. So I would definitely bring the other one in a good bit. I would say, as it stands right now, this would be your better option. I love the notes in this one, but without the moon setting, the big issue is that, you know, the Dreamsnap, I think, is going to feel more empty because we can see into the backdrop a little bit more clearly. If you did go with this one, I would definitely fill the backdrop up with crystals or something. I would occupy this backdrop, you know, so it's not a grassy field back here. I would add some details back here. Or you could simply go with this one, because the moon setting is going to, like, phase out all of that. We're not going to be able to see back there at all. I think if you were to change your pose maybe, or just the bed, this would be a lot stronger. If you can't get the bed to look right, don't get caught up on one idea for a pose or a concept. Like, yes, it's a fun idea, but with how much beauty you're getting out of this scene, I think you're getting a little too fixated on, like, wanting to be on the bed. And maybe you're using the headboard because it didn't look right. Because I know that's the case sometimes. If you were doing the seated pose, your legs are going to go through the bed, and maybe you're trying to block that with the headboard or the footboard here. But, you can also use the magic carpet. Some people use the magic carpet pose and got onto the bed that way. Because you can hide magic carpet. So, I'm not too sure how they did that. But I wouldn't even worry about being on the bed. I don't think it's worth the trouble in this case. Like, if you're going to have to hide most of your avatar and be further away and add all this darkness and break up this beautiful scene, you would get so much better value just standing near the front and posing with Pegasus and closing your eyes and looking cozy and just having like a little bed behind you. That would be so much more valuable. So yeah, I would definitely change the bed. Aside from that, you have a very strong, very beautiful dreamscape here. So just don't get too hung up on this bed concept, and I think you'll get 4K. Diana, hello. Hey, Sabina, it's been a minute since I submitted one of these. Feeling rusty, not gonna lie. Anyway, I think it's cute and cozy, but I'm open to feedback you have to give on how I can improve the snap. Appreciate your eye for advice. Thank you in advance. All right. Well, Diana, I'll be honest here. I would pivot. So this is not really the theme. I think you might be focused too much on the first sentence of the challenge and not the title of the challenge or the final sentence of the challenge. So if it was just the first title, if it's just the first sentence, the sun is down, it's time for bed, if that's all it said, this would be great. But that's not at all what the challenge is. The title of the challenge is Cozy Dreams. So it's all about the dreams. And we know that based on what the rest of this says. So yes, the sun is down and it's time for bed. Time to get cozy and capture a glowing moment filled with calm. Decorate and dress for a scene from your favorite peaceful dream. So you're not being tasked with decorating a bedroom. You're not being tasked with decorating bedtime. You're being tasked with decorating a scene from your favorite peaceful dream. Don't let these example photos lead you in the wrong direction. We have had so many challenges where the example photos had literally nothing to do with what the description said. The only reason these are in the example photos at all, the only reason we see bedrooms up here, is literally because they're leaning towards bedtime and dreams. As far as what everybody seems to be doing with these challenges, and if you go online, you can check Facebook Dreamsnap groups, you can check Discord servers, you can check Dreamers Portal. Everyone is building dreams. That seems to be the consensus. And people that are sharing photos that are not dreams are all being told that it's all theme. Now, technically, anything could be a dream, right? Like, you could be dreaming about being in your bedroom. Maybe you're dreaming right now. So, technically, this could be on theme, but a lot of people aren't going to see it that way. You made a really cute, really pretty room. Like, I think the room looks pretty good. You got a decent angle here. But, if we look at what everybody's doing, it's a completely different concept from what you have. Everybody's dreaming because that's what the challenge mentioned. And it's also in the title, Cozy Dreams. Not it's bedtime or cozy bedroom. It's Cozy Dreams. And when people vote, a lot of people don't even read what the challenge says. They're just going to read the title. So they're going to be looking for cozy dreams. So if I were you, I know it's one day before this challenge comes to an end, but I would do my best to make a dream, because that's what the challenge is asking us to do. And another thing I would recommend, Diana, if you're feeling rusty and it's been a minute since you submitted and you're getting back into snaps, I started doing weekly tip videos about 15 weeks ago. Every single Thursday, the day after the challenge comes out, I drop a video breaking down everything you need to know about the theme, providing examples about different ways to approach the challenge, and giving tips and tricks for that particular challenge. Hey, Cozy World, thank you for the raid, my friend. Welcome. So, what I would do in your case, Diana, you could keep this and see how it does. You know, I think some people would vote for it just because it's a pretty room. But I do think you would do a lot better if you built some kind of dream. And that's what, you know, you're going to get way more beauty out of your shot, for one, than you would, and voters love beauty, than you would with a bedroom. And you're going to be more on theme. Because, again, the description of the theme, the title of the theme, it is telling us to decorate for our favorite peaceful dream, a cozy dream. That's what the challenge is. And nothing is more important than the theme and the beauty of your shot. Those two things are what determines how well you do with voters. Now, beauty is subjective. It's not the same for everybody. But time and time again, we've seen from a majority of the player base, things like good color diversity, good photo composition, good lighting, good saturation. These things all do well in terms of beauty. Now, your bedroom photo has... That's why I said it has good beauty. You know, you have good lighting, you have a good angle, good composition, but it's really lacking in terms of theme. So I would definitely reconsider. And it wouldn't take too long to build a dream scene instead of a bedroom here. Again, if you check out my video that I posted on Thursday, you can find it on my YouTube channel. I actually have... If you want to do something more complex, I would do the final example that I gave. But if you want to do something very quick and easy, I would do the first. All right. I think we got Beagle Mama. Okay. Very good, Beagle Mama. Beautiful. Very, very good. Yeah, I had a feeling... Oh, sorry. Hang on one second. Closed you out here. I had a feeling you'd deliver on this. You always have very solid snaps, Beagle Mama. So we got the bed here, indicating that you're dreaming. So bed's right beside you, right at the front of the shot. We got that starlight projector here in front of the bed, giving a nice magical glow. And also making sure this space doesn't feel so empty. When you have a big bed like this at the front of your scene, you're not going to be able to put anything on it. It's not like a table. But what you can do is overlay a fun item like this right in front of it, and then you get these sparkles on it, this magical feel, and then we have your dream space itself. So we have the Aurora, we have the new observatory, the cozy observatory here, we have the telescopes, there's the planets back here. So yeah, very nice, very nice. The only alteration I would make here, Beagle Mama, I would consider adding one more starlight projector on the left-hand side of you as well. This side, this feels like extremely dreamy because we have the aurora, we have the blossom trees, we have clouds, we have this glowing planet, we have this pink light. There's so many glowing elements. But then when we go over here, it's all very crisp and real. It feels less dreamy on this side. And I think that would be something very easy to resolve with one of two options. Option one, you could take a couple of street lights like pink or purple and put them slightly out of frame on the left-hand side to get like a pink, purple, or red, or, you know, any kind of glow on this side to give more of a dream feel of a glow on this left-hand side. Or you can take another starlight projector and put that at the base of the shot. But if you can't fit it for whatever reason, if there's an item in the way, I would do street lights out of frame on the right-hand side. That way you can get a magical glow because you have so much magic and glowing on this side. And then over here on the left, it feels very sharp. And that's one of the things dreams, you know, that's why glowing was mentioned in the challenge description, because when you build a dream, one of the key ways to make it feel like a dream is to have that almost like fogginess to it, you know? It's not as sharp and clear as reality. So having a little bit more of a glow on this side, I think, would really sell what you have here. But that's the only recommendation I have. Very, very well structured, absolutely beautiful details. I love the crystal palace in the back here. I like that you got even Elsa's crystal castle kind of peeking over the building. The blossom trees, the bed, the starlight projector, the luminescent plants. Lots of very good qualities. Really good pose here. Great outfit. Very strong Dreamsnap Beagle Mama as always. Wonderful job. Wonderful job. And, you know, like I said, you know, if you do want to make changes to it, I would only recommend adding a bit more of like a glowing magical element to the left-hand side. So streetlights or a starlight projector both work. Wait 1 second here. There we go. Okay. Now we're ready for re-reviews. This is where the fun begins. We got a lot to do. There's a lot of re-reviews. So if you've never watched these review streams, re-reviews are the portion of the stream where we take a look at people that have already received advice. And we see their old snap, the one we reviewed yesterday, and we compare it with their new snap. We want to make sure it goes in the right direction. Sometimes the original is better. Sometimes the things we incorporate, you know, we tried them, and the other one just had a stronger case for 4K. Most of the time, we see really great improvements. Most of the time, it's always a step in a positive direction. And other times, the recommendations and advice I give aren't quite incorporated the way I was suggesting. You know, it's tricky with things like boosting saturation or fixing highlight, right? Because, you know, you can always take it too far or not far enough, or maybe if you're adding things to the foreground, they're a bit too far back or a bit too far forward. That's why we want to see the old snap and the new snap, because if the original snap is better, it's very important that you keep that one and go with that one, because at the end of the day, I never want to cost somebody their 4K. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to do. All right, so with that, let's take a look at our re-reviews here. So, Dreamer, this was your snap from yesterday. And one of the things we talked about was having a bed. It's a very good storytelling. You know, this feels dreamy. You got a lot of good glowing elements. So bringing a bed into this somehow is really going to help with the kind of dreamy feel. Now, this is your new one. And I see why you chose the Celestial bed, because you have the Celestial outfit, but I would not put it straight forward like this. I would actually angle it. That way, the headboard here is going to take up less of your scene. And you don't have to use the Celestial bed just because you're using the Celestial dress, by the way. You can, you know, it's your dream. So you can have your normal bed and then your dream. This bed is pretty, but it is very large. And there are some other options that I think would be worth considering. Like, you know, in this one, we have a bed with a smaller headboard. It has the rose pillow. And you do have a lot of flowers in your scene, so a bed like this could be good. But also notice how the bed is angled. How, you know, it's kind of pivoted. It's not straightforward like that. So my final advice for you, I still don't think this is quite ready for submission. I think what you should do from here is, sorry, where'd it go? Let me close that one. Is adjust the bed, number one, and look at other options. Like I said, just because you have the Celestial dress doesn't mean you have to use a Celestial bed. Your dream has a lot of elements. You know, it's not really a Celestial dream. You have giant flowers, you have spirit fires, you have mushrooms, you have planets. It's a pretty crazy dream, you know. a lot of the dreams I've seen are a little bit more themed. Like, they're going, you know, if it's celestial, like if you're wearing the celestial dress, then a lot of people are using, like, the new celestial house and the new celestial pond and the new celestial shooting stars. They're, like, really playing up that celestial nature. If you're doing that, then I think it's worth using the celestial bed. But in your case, you really don't have to. Your dream is featuring a lot of different stuff. So you could use a different bed that's going to take up less space. But keep in mind, if you're going to use the celestial bed, I almost think that one's actually better further away from the camera. You need to find a bed you can put close to the camera that doesn't have such a large headboard. And I would also angle it. I mean, you could just use the same one that you see in this photo. Again, this bed has a great beauty factor. And you also have a lot of flowers in your dream. Like, your dream is loaded with flowers, and this bed has little roses on it. You know, you got all these little roses, and it's thinner too. But this one also has, like, this tall canopy, so that might not be the best for you. I would recommend positioning it this way, though. Angling it. You know, don't just put it straight forward, especially if it has a headboard. So, for the scene you have, let's look at some bed options. I think this would work really well. This tangled bed. This one still has a pretty big headboard, but maybe not the best on that one. This could work. And yeah, if your entire scene was celestial, then I would say go with the celestial bed for sure. The Naboo bed would actually be pretty cool. The Art Deco bed could be very good, because those gold rods on the bed would actually go out of frame a little bit, which would be pretty fun. As we said before, the golden bed, this would be very nice. But the big issue with the celestial bed, notice how much taller the headboard is on this one than all the others. If you're going to be putting a bed at the front of your scene, I would not choose one that has a massive headboard like this, because it's going to cut off a lot of the beauty from that shot. So you would either need to move the bed back, which I would not do. I would just choose a different bed. And again, you really only need to use the celestial bed if you're doing a celestial dream. The only thing celestial about your dream is your outfit and the planet item. That's it. Your dream has a bunch of different stuff, so you can, you could always go with a different style bed if you wanted to. So final thoughts here. You're definitely going to want a bed, but angle it. Don't just put it straight forward. And choose something that's not going to obstruct your scene this much. Poppy is next. First is the original. So there's this one. And even if you have a celestial snap like this, you don't necessarily have to use the celestial bed. I'm just saying that's the only reason I would use it, by the way. The thing is, whatever bed you use, that's the bed you're sleeping in. That doesn't mean it has to be... It doesn't have to 100% match your dream, so to say. So it looks like you have a couple of options here. You're using the spacey bed here. And we have this one. Wait, are those the same? Hang on a sec. No, there's this one. There we go. So yesterday, I think this one is the best. This one with the starlight projectors kind of in the middle of the scene, you're losing a lot of that really good, and you also don't have the moon active. Like this one you have the regular moon, this one you have the moon setting. So I like that about your original. So you know, whenever you make changes, I definitely don't recommend changing things that we didn't have issues with. So the moon setting here was really good. So let's not do this. Let's keep that moon, because that wasn't part of the recommendation. You know, we just talked about having a bed. And the only reason you want to have a bed, again, I don't think you should have to have one, but I can't speak for all the voters. There's a bunch of people on Facebook and Reddit and Discord that are seeing other people's snaps, just like this one, that are doing the celestial stuff, and they're commenting that it's not on theme. Even though it is. It clearly looks like a dream to me, but there's people saying that it's not. So you got to make it super obvious that it's a dream. And one of the best ways to do that is by highlighting a bed. Now, I did really like the telescope here. I think if I were you, I would have probably put the bed on the right-hand side, because the telescope is silhouetted really good behind these mushrooms. But still, it's nice that you have a bed either way. And I do love the addition of Merlin here. I think that's really, really fun to have Merlin. So, yeah, this one is very cool. And for your starlight projectors, I would try to make them even. You have one on the right-hand side of the frame, like barely in frame. And then the other one is all the way up next to you. When using the starlight projectors, I highly recommend balancing them. So if I'm going to be right here for my photo, I'm going to have one on the left and one on the right. So they're going to be, you know, equally represented on both sides of the shot. So I would likely move this one over just a hair. But yeah, either way, very strong snap. This is very likely for 4K. And now that you have a bed, you know, it's even more obvious what you're doing. I'm glad you didn't do the celestial one, because that would have covered so much. But you don't even have to do the space one if you want. I mean, it's nice that it has a very visible pillow. But you could do a different bed if you felt like it. I wouldn't choose anything that's too far outside of this concept. Like, I wouldn't choose, like, a Nightmare Before Christmas bed or something like that. But there are a lot of kind of universal beds you can go with. That would be fine. But I think this one's fun. I think it's fun. It is very boxy, though. But yeah, Merlin looks really good. You got great lighting in the scene. Feels very dreamy. Very good glow. Good makeup. Nice peaceful pose. I wish character lighting worked on companions, too. It's too bad that you're so bright and he's so dark. You might even want to hide the Pegasus, honestly, because it's so hard to see him. And if you hit him, we would at least see the glowing crystals behind you. And you're still going to look just as happy. You're still going to look peaceful. But yeah, I would probably hide the companion. Now, if you were doing your shot, you know, where you were able to have more light on him, like if I was doing a daytime shot like this, where we're going to have sunlight hitting the Pegasus. So what I'll likely do, this is not my finished snap. I got to work on it tonight. But I have light hitting Pegasus, so he is pretty easy to see here. I will likely get even closer to the frame. I'm going to change my makeup. It's still set up from my last snap. And then to give it more of like a dreamy night feel, I'm going to boost, you know, instead of using the moon setting, I'm going to crank up the vignette border to make it a lot darker around the edges. And that really brings out the Dreamlight projectors as well. I'll make some other changes, you know, to saturation, light bloom, and stuff like that to amplify the dreaminess of it. But since I have sunlight coming in, you can see Baby Pegasus really, really well here. Whereas in your photo, we can't really see him at all, you know? So, like, I think the scene behind him would be more valuable than he is. You're going to look really pretty regardless, because you have the peaceful pose that you get from him. That's why we're using him in the first place, is just to have that comfort, that coziness, you know, cozy dreams, peaceful dreams. So you're already getting that, but with you being so bright, it's just weird seeing him so dark, or in other words, like not really seeing him. And if we make the picture small, we can't really see him at all. If anything, he just adds like a dark patch here. But if you got rid of him, we have this beautiful, beautiful collection of New Year's lanterns behind him. And you have more of that light from the aurora. We can see more of your hair here. So yeah, I would hide him. Then we can see like more of this planet structure, more of these. You don't have to worry about keeping him in. You can just use the pose. And yeah, I would definitely keep the moon setting. And I would keep Merlin as well. I think he's really fun here. Yeah, I like this more than the original pose for sure. It feels way more peaceful. And I like the way the lighting turned out here too. It's very dreamy. Also, if you wait a moment on these rings, you might be able to get that green light in there again. But I wouldn't overthink that. I wouldn't worry about that too much. I'd focus more on just hiding Pegasus. Marie is next. So this was Marie's shot from yesterday. The main things we discussed with this one, I believe, are adding some more details because we have a lot of open space here. There's a lot of room for opportunity to increase the beauty of the dream. And we also talked about sealing off, some of the area. Let's see the new one here. Oh, yeah, the new details are great. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, you got the Dreamlight, you got the Starlight projectors in there now. Now, unfortunately, you said you don't have Pegasus leveled up, so you couldn't get the blue crystals. That's too bad, that's too bad. But you know what? You got to work with what you have. It would have been really cool to tie in some of those blue crystals in the backdrop, but still very, very, very solid improvement. The before and after here, I think, is one of the best before and afters we've had today. So bringing in that Starlight projector here, very nice. Very nice. Gives a very good dream quality to this side. And then in this one, we had no pocket items. We have all this room here. There's all this room here. Down here, down here. And you have some good beauty elements. But now it feels so much more dreamy. You have crystals, you have the little pillows, makes it more cozy. We have luminescent flowers, gives more of a dreamy glow. Then on this side, more crystals, pillows, luminescent flowers, so very fun details. It's amazing how much just a few additional items can do. So between these two photos, there's a huge difference. But the only thing that changed was Marie added Starlight projectors, another blue crystal here, and a handful of items. That's it. So we have a blue crystal, Forgotten Lands crystals, pillows, and Starlight projectors. And it looks like a totally different photo now. Very nice, very nice. Well done, well done. Solid changes, Marie. Definitely go with the new one. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So we got Bob's coming in next. First is the original. So yeah, this was yesterday's. We talked about removing the fog. I like the fog for snaps like this. I was actually going to do a cloudy fog scene. But since so many voters like to prioritize beauty, I prefer avoiding anything that's going to limit how much color and glowing we can get out of the shot. We also talked about adding some details in. And we talked about fixing the walls a little bit. Bob says, my kiddo watched your feedback and just thinks it's so cool to get a shout out from a streamer. Just thought you should know that. Obviously, I took over, though, and he wanted me to. Oh, that's fun. Well, if your kiddo watches this, too, let him know. They got a good eye for snaps. I think they could be really good at it. So, well done. All right, so now Bob's is taking over. Oh, my God, bro. That's crazy. Beautiful, Bob's. Beautiful. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, full disclosure on this one, guys. Yeah, Bob's was working in tandem yesterday with her, I believe, 12-year-old son, I think. So Bob's son had a big hand in this one. They did a good job. They did a good job with a lot of the decisions here. But yeah, now the fog is gone, and Bob's added some of the details. So yeah, this looks really pretty. Now you have two options. We have this one with Pegasus here, and then we have this one. I like that you kept Mickey in. That's really fun, especially Magician Mickey. I feel like Magician Mickey's good for a dream. It's a very good dream. The starlight projectors are here on the side. Beautiful. I love the blue swirls as well. And the rainbows. Very, very dreamy. Now, between the two, I like this one the most. But these are both 4K snaps. I don't think it really matters. If your goal is to get 4K, you can choose either one of these, and I think you're very safe. The glowing element is there. The dream element is exceedingly strong. The whole dream space feels very clean and cohesive. Feels very magical. Now, the reason I like this one a bit more, I just love Magician Mickey here. And voters go absolutely bonkers for Mickey and Minnie, so always good to include them where you can. I love the horse over here on the side and over here, the rainbow. And I like the new bed a bit more than the original bed, which I know you still had in this one. Like, this bed is pretty, but it takes up a bit more space since it's like a queen, whereas this one is like a single. It's easier to fit, and I love that it goes all the way to the ground, because then we can see more of like the backdrop. So, and also the avatar is very close to the frame in this one as well. I also appreciate those of you that are wearing pajamas have like not added a bunch of eyeshadow and like really dolled up the avatar a whole bunch, because if you are in your PJs, it's not going to make sense to like have your makeup totally done. I kind of, I got to do the, I think I got to do the same to mine. Like I said, I still have the makeup from the last one, so I still got to redo it. But yeah, I think like a soft lip color is fine, that would like you have here. But yeah, I think it's smart to like leave off the eyeshadow on this. Now, if you're in your dream outfit, then makeup is fine. But if you're in your PJs, with the eye mask, I think it makes more sense this way. But yeah, you can choose either one of these Bobs. These are both really good options. I just really like this one. The blue swirl coming in at the top looks great. The enhanced light bloom looks great. The rainbow, Mickey's presence, the bed, the Pegasus. It's all very, very strong. So yeah, very, very solid snap here. Definitely 4K. I have zero doubt about that. All right, Hope Ann. So this was yesterday's. And the main thing we talked about was, in this case, scrapping the bedroom. Because you only want to do a big wall like this if you're limited on time and you only have time to decorate a small space. But Hope has a beautiful dream in the background, and there's not a lot of beauty to the bedroom, so we would get more value out of this, more beauty, if we just ditched the bedroom idea and just kept the bed. Kind of like what we saw with Bob's here, You only need the bed. Now, if you are going to do a bedroom, that's totally fine, but it needs to be a very strong, very beautiful bedroom. Otherwise, you might as well just leave it out and just do the bed. So, going into Hope's here, let's see the new ones. Very nice, Hope. Very nice. And look, now that you have so much more room, you were able to bring that horse up close. You got some good detail in the horse mane. Very cool. You got some fun dioramas in the back for memories. We got these glowing orbs up here. We got the Aurora, Cinderella's castle, and the Cinderella bed. Very cool. You even got a little whimsical raccoon down here. This is so much stronger. Yeah, I'm glad I saw this scene back here yesterday, and I was like, man, you got all the crystals, you got all this cool stuff. I feel like you could have, like a snap with so much more beauty if you just ditched the bedroom and fully embraced the dream, and I'm glad you did, because this is very pretty. So yeah, you got so much more beauty out of this. Between the two, I would go with this one. It feels more peaceful. You have your eyes closed, with the little Pegasus. It's very cozy. And at the end of the day, it's called Cozy Dreams. And this is one of the coziest, most peaceful poses. Not to mention, this one, we don't get to see the avatar as well. We do get to see the castle better, but I like the portrayal of the coziness here. That's why this one is so strong. And I love where the whimsical raccoon is here, so that's another thing to consider. But yeah, very well done on the changes. Hope. Very solid work. Very solid work. Exactly what I was hoping to see with your changes. Good job. Danielle. So this was yesterday. The big issue, the big concern for yesterday's was that it didn't feel dreamy. We have a lot of scenes like this, especially on re-review with people making their dreams even better. And they feel, it really feels like you're looking into a dream. And seeing the bed really sells that idea. So when we have a scene like this, you could argue that this is a dream, but there's not really anything happening to communicate that. It doesn't have that whimsical dream-like feel. There's no bed. So how do we tell the voters that it's a dream? So that was the big recommendation for this, was to make some changes to try to have more of a dream feel. So you got this one today. Now, all right, it's a step in the right direction, but we got to work on it a little bit more. Let's save it so we can zoom in a bit here, Danielle. Okay, first off, the background, very solid. Feels very dreamy. Very good glow back here. Very good dreamlike qualities. You did add a bed, but it's just kind of placed going straight. It's not angled towards you. It's not close to you. And you're using a bed with a huge headboard, which you don't have to do. You do have a celestial dream, though, so if you want to use this bed, that's fine. But I would angle it instead of just dropping it straight down like that. Again, look at this shot, right? You see how they rotated the bed a little bit? How it kind of goes off to the side? And let's look at Bob's here as well. You see how this bed is angled, how it goes off to the side? I wouldn't just drop it straight back like that. Try to make it blend into the dream like it belongs there instead of feel like it just dropped straight in. Now, the other thing is in today's, now we have, you kind of took away some of the strengths you had here. So one of the things you were doing right with this snap yesterday is you actually filled out your foreground. The bottom left corner was full and the bottom right-hand corner was full. Unfortunately, you were missing the theme. Today, you fixed that. You fixed the theme, but you didn't. Now you have no foreground. So, when you incorporate changes, you want to avoid adding new issues. So, yeah, we want to add glowing elements to our scene, but we don't want to take away from what was working. So, what you should try to do now to really bring it home, I would take the bed and I would rotate it a little bit so and get it a little closer to you. If this ends up covering the telescope or something, you can just choose a bed without the giant headboard. There's a lot of beds. You don't have to use this one. And then I would make sure you have something down here. Something that comes all the way down to the corner. Yeah, like you do have mushrooms right here, but they're not really in the foreground with you. I would have something down here. So just like yesterday, yesterday you had the bushes right here, filling out the foreground. When you added the bed, it looks like you just kind of came forward and then dropped the bed and set the time to night. So when incorporating advice, try to keep the strengths you already had. Make sure you're not, trading one issue for another issue. This is much more on theme, though, which is very good. I think it will do better than this would have done. But I would certainly address this left-hand pocket. And I would definitely angle the bed a bit differently. But it is a step in the right direction. Black Knight is next. So we had this one from yesterday. Black Knight said, hey, somebody, thanks for the feedback. I got rid of the wall in the original and did sunset and a night version. I also finished a project early and had some more time than expected, so I worked on my original idea with horses. Any standouts amongst these? Let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, these are really pretty. And 4. Okay. So yesterday's, I do like just the bed here and getting to see more of the stream. Also, you still kept Figaro, who is absolutely adorable there. And now we get more horses as well. Starlight projectors look good. Ooh, the nighttime's really nice. I mean, I like the saturation and colors you get from the sunset, but the Cinderella Castle with the pink glow, this thing looks so good at night as well. And I like the moon crest up here too. Very pretty. And the starlight projector is a bit more pronounced here as well. This one is also very fun and pretty. Still kept Figaro being absolutely adorable. Love to see it. I like the horses kind of angled in. This one's really fun, but I'll be honest, sheer like beauty and impressiveness, I think this one is the best of the 3. But all of these options, this one, and this one, I think have a good shot at 4K. But I think this one would have the lowest shot. It likely would still get 4K though. But I think these are, extremely high chance. This one, in fact, I feel like is almost a guarantee, The beauty element is there. The dream element is very strong. And I really like the way you've enhanced the light bloom. The daytime one here is good too. And this also works considering you have the bed here, It can be daytime in your dream. But the aurora, the pink windows from Cinderella's castle, the puff balloon, the starlight projector here, the pixie dust. This one, it feels so magical. I definitely think this one is the standout amongst them, but they're all very good, Black Knight. These are all very good. I think all of these have a great shot at 4K, but this one I think is my personal favorite. Very well done, very well done. And yeah, I like it more than the room concept. You had a pretty good room, but with the daytime and the light kind of bouncing off, it felt so bright in the room, since like this is where you're sleeping and this is where the dream begins. It feels like, the room should be part of the dream because it's so bright, but it's not. But then here, now with the bed here, it feels like the room is part of the dream. Getting rid of the walls and then adding, all these dreamy elements in the background. Now we still have the elements of the room, like the table and the lamp and the bed. But now it really feels like the dream, that the dream has just entirely engulfed the room. And I think that gives us more beauty as well. Because here, in yesterday's, it's a fun concept, but the wall takes up a lot of space, and now you've traded that out for an abundance of beauty, especially the moon up here. It looks really good. Very solid, very solid. Well done, Lunaris. Comments were, be better face camera, more so you can see your expression, getting rid of the shoes and adding the starlight projector. Definitely like this one more. Let me know what you think. Okay. Yeah, we talked about the shoes. I would also get rid of the socks, especially since you're wearing like toe socks. Like we see your toes. Since you're in your PJs, I would go barefoot. It gives more of a fun, dreamy feel to it anyway, if you're going to show the feet. But yeah, I do really like the expression on the avatar here. And that's always a good thing to consider, when it comes to the avatar. The side profile can be nice, having them like look into the dream. But when we get to see the peaceful expression on their face, it resonates so much better with challenges like this, where it's like a cozy dream or peaceful dream. When we can see that expression on their face, showing just how cozy they are or how peaceful the nature here is, I think it sells the idea better. But I would get rid of the socks and the shoes. I would get rid of the socks as well. Barefoot, I think, is the way to go in the PJs. Personally, I often sleep in my socks. Might be weird for some of y'all, but I do. I sleep in my socks a lot. But I think for a pajama photo, I would definitely have the no socks. But yeah, I love the changes, especially the starlight projector here on the side. Now you have all this beautiful glowing color here. I would consider having one on the left too, though. I know, this side is the dream, this side is the bedroom. But since the dream is kind of overtaking the bedroom and you have these petals coming in, having a little bit of a glow on the left would add some more beauty to the left side of the scene here. Because there's going to be a lot of photos you might be up against where the beauty goes all the way across the photo. So having one more starlight projector, or maybe even putting a pink or purple street light behind these bookshelves so you can get a glow coming through the bookshelves, that could be really cool. But that's my last recommendation. I would lose the socks, and I would either have a starlight projector here on the left, or a couple of purple lights behind the bookshelves, or both. But I think both could be really cool because then we're going to have this glow, this dreamy glow throughout the whole scene, and it's going to look like your room is being engulfed by the dream. I think it would be really good storytelling. Right now, they're still a little divided. There's some elements of the dream coming over, like the grass coming through the floor and the pink petals coming over. But what if we took some of this beautiful glow and we brought that, kind of creeping into the room? And again, you can do so by sticking a purple street light right behind these bookshelves. It'll bleed through. And then by putting another starlight projector down here at the base, you can have some sparkles over here as well. But keep the avatar exactly how she is, with the exception of the socks. The expression is very solid, and the lighting you have on her is very good, too. Good job, good job. Even if you don't make those changes, you still got a very good shot at 4K with this. Absolutely beautiful. So, Alfira was here. Alfira said, you mentioned I didn't have to change anything with my original snap, but I wanted to try something out. Removing the wall of the room. I did talk about that a lot. Yeah, you can get more beauty out of it for sure. What do you think? Keep the original or the new one? Okay. I do think that this elevates the beauty factor for sure. And that's something I talked about a lot on other reviews. Now on yours, it wasn't as necessary because you got a nice glow on the wall. So your room had a good beauty factor, and you also had good detail in the room. But I do think the new one is even better because we still have the bedroom, right? But now it's being, the dream is taking over. We don't necessarily have to have the walls. We can play up all this beauty from the dream throughout the rest of the snap. And yeah, I'm glad you took that direction. I like this even more. I didn't really suggest a change here, though. I felt like you were already lined up for 4K, but I feel like this will get an even better rank. Beautiful, beautiful. Crafty Joe. So this was yesterday's. I'm liking what I'm seeing already. Oh, okay, Crafty Joe, okay. So, main thing we talked about yesterday was opening up these bookshelves a lot more because, as we were saying, a lot of the beauty you're going to get from your photo is going to be from that dream space. So by really embracing that dream space, you can really empower yourself to take more of that beauty in. Kind of like what we saw here with Black Knights. Like, this was already a very beautiful snap, but now without the wall, we still have the bedroom, just not the wall. And now the beauty from this dream covers the entire scene. And voters, they really love to gravitate towards beauty. So, our snap yesterday from Crafty Joe, we had a beautiful little scene back here. But with the, small window into it, we're not getting a lot of beauty from the right-hand side here or the left-hand side here. So, you ended up opening this up, and you added those starlight projectors. This looks so much better. So this is, you're really playing up the beauty factor here quite well. So very good job. Only minor issue is now we can see over this bookshelf a little bit. I would, you know, if you want to keep the illusion that this is a doorway, I would angle the camera down just a hair just to hide that blue right there. But in your final photo, you've done away with the walls entirely. So you won't have that problem with this one. Now, as far as which one would be best to go with, I'm actually liking this one the most because the starlight projectors look really good here. This one's nice as well without the walls, but your outfit was better here. You already have so much blue. Like, we have the blue trees, blue carpet, blue bed. So, in this one, we still have the blue trees. We don't have the blue carpet or blue bed anymore, but we do have the blue pillars. So, the yellow PJs with the plushie, I think, was a bit more fun. And the other thing here is, now that you've got rid of this wall, if you do choose to get rid of this wall here, I think it's going to be important for you to fill out the space back here. Because you got rid of the wall, but we just have a big gap right here. And it's just foggy and hazy. So you could get rid of the wall and go in this direction, but I would definitely put like crystals or something back here to seal this off and make use of this space. Which is why, as it stands right now, this one's actually my favorite. The one where, you know, you did what we talked about and you just moved, you made the doorway a little bit bigger and you brought in the starlight projectors. First off, these starlight projectors look really good in your photo. Because the bookshelves are so dark, this purple is standing out very well. And with these bookshelves here, we're not seeing these open gaps here at all. I also like the outfit design and plushie a bit better in this one. So between these, I would say this one's my favorite. But you could go with this one. If you do go with this one, I would advise going back to the yellow outfit. I think that looked really good with all the blue in the trees and the blue pillars. But also, I would recommend filling in these openings that you have. If you want to be done with it, this one's very solid. I think this has a very high chance for 4K. I really like the way this one turned out. Good job. Well done, Crafty Joe. Sila is next. So this was yesterday's. Oh, you actually did move everything to the Frosted Island? No way. Wow. That's dedication. So, yeah, I liked the scene yesterday. The main thing we talked about was that a lot of this decor, like the cloud house and the crystals and the crystal walkway, it works a bit better on the Frosted Island. Because, you know, the Frosted Island has this, like, white and blue surface that works really well with the pure ice and the Forgotten Lands crystals. You don't necessarily have to use the frozen trees if you don't want to. I know it's the Frosted Island, but you could just play up the crystal aspect in the cloud house and go with, like, clouds and crystals. But, I mean, the trees are cool, too, if you want to go with those. Like, you had them in your first one. Now, I would try to do something more with your midground here. Your dream doorway is pretty small, and we've seen a lot of these dream spaces, you know, get expanded a little bit. Like on this one yesterday, we had kind of a smaller one. Now we have a much bigger space here. And for your shot, you have a lot of beauty coming from the dream doorway, but there's not a lot of beauty in your room. We don't have a lot of beauty in the room. So what I recommend for you here is, first off, starlight projectors. Make the room feel a bit dreamy as well. Add beauty to the room, because you're going to be up against a lot of photos that have beauty throughout the entire scene. For example, that's why this room turned out so good. They have the starlight projectors adding a glow and sparkles. They have celestial pillars. They have things making the room just as beautiful as the dream. Whereas yesterday, the dream was beautiful, but the room was lacking. And it's kind of the same, you know, that we saw with this one here. You know, we had this, the room was very well made, but this is the part of the scene that had most of the beauty. Now we've got that beauty throughout the entire shot. So what I would recommend for you here is kind of the same thing I was recommending for this snap. So this snap turned out really good, but I was talking about getting a bit of a glow and a bit of beauty and magic into the room as well. So if they put street lights behind the bookshelves and get a bit of a glow coming out, they put a starlight projector at the base of the room, we can make the room feel a bit more magical as well, as if the dream is overtaking the room. And you could do the same. If you put some starlight projectors at the base of your shot, one on the left, one on the right, even if you had to get rid of this pillow or move this, whatever this is, closer to the bed, you could get a nice magical glow here, a nice magical glow here, and then don't forget you could also put some street lights on the other side of the bookshelves or on the left and right sides of the room to cast a bit of light in there. But you got a ton of beauty in this spot. I would just try to get more of a fun, beautiful, dreamy feel in the room as well, so you can compete with some of those photos that have that beauty throughout the entire shot. So the frosted relocation, great job there. The dream scene is looking really good. Only thing I would worry about now or focus on now is beautifying the, you know, the main part of the snap, since the room is the biggest part of your scene for the way you built this. The dream is actually the smallest part of the scene, and that's where most of your beauty is. So I would try to ramp up the beauty and the magic in the room itself as well. Lilo. So here's yesterday's. Very fun. Main thing was color. The other two options have differences in shooting stars. I took away the large planet on the left in the original to fit a star projector there. Oh, okay, nice. All right, so you got a Dreamlight projector or a Starlight projector in there. Very cool. So new one. Oh yeah, that had some good color. So you said the difference was a shooting star. I do like the shooting star here. That's really cool. But I like the way the celestial or the New Year's celebration lights are in this one. Hang on, you guys probably can't see what I'm looking at. So yeah, the only difference between these two is this one has the shooting star on the left, and this one has a bit more of a glow from the New Year's lanterns. I kind of like the balance of the glow from the New Year's lanterns. This one, the shooting star is pretty, but it feels a bit more empty here now, even with that straight line coming down. This one, the cluster of... I actually prefer the cluster of these New Year's lanterns more than the shooting star. If you could get both, like if you can get this cluster of lanterns and a shooting star coming in, that would be awesome. But as of right now, I think this one's the best. I do love the addition of the starlight projector. That really did add some great purple to the scene. Gave it a bit more color. So very nice, very nice. Very cool snap, Lilo. Fim is next. So this was yesterday's. A very good dream. You know, we have the bed showcased. Main thing we talked about was bringing that bed even closer in. You know, really highlight that bed. Make it very apparent that this is a dream. And then we also talked about making it a bit dreamier, utilizing the starlight projectors and a little bit of added detail. So let's see how you did. All right, very nice. So a much better focus on the bed there has been brought up, you know, right up to you, as if you're rising from the bed right now to experience the dream. I like that. And you've got the starlight projectors on the left and right side. Again, I cannot recommend these enough. If you are not using these for your dream, you know, I guess there's probably some dreams out there where they don't work that great, but for most of the dreams I've seen, these starlight projectors are incredible to have. So if you have that bundle, you know, certainly worth using. So yeah, having these in here really elevated that dream feel. Great job, great job. Solid work, Fim, solid work. Definitely a stronger snap. LOTR said, you said a lot, but basically a full redo. Hopefully one of these works better now. Let's see. Yeah, I remember from yesterday. My main worry with this was, we didn't get to see a bed like we did in a lot of other snaps. And, we have a lot of open space here, So, essentially we were talking about a more kind of defined dream. Let's see, we got this one. We got this one. Yeah, and the main reason I, recommended a big pivot. This is really pretty. Make no mistake about that, LOTR. But so was your Small Wonder Snap. Your Small Wonder Snap in my, I liked it, and I didn't recommend any change. I mean, I recommended like a tiny change, but, we ended up going with that concept because it was such a cool idea. Maybe some voters couldn't figure out that you were doing a picnic basket. That's why one of my new rules is, never tell me what you're going for, because maybe I wouldn't have been able to guess it. I don't know. But since I read it when I opened the snap, I was like, oh yeah, it looks like a picnic basket. And I thought it was such a cool idea. I think it definitely deserved 4K. But it didn't get 4K. And I don't want that to happen again. I take a lot of pride when, you guys share your results with me. And you get better results than normal, or your first 4K, or a really good rank after a review. And, I think your snap was beautiful, but I think it could have ran into the same problem that the basket one could have. And I didn't want to leave that up to chance like we did last time. So this one was really fun, but I feel like against some of the other snaps, the downside is, we have this bright pocket here, but we can't really see much in detail. And then we have open water here. I know it's the glowing algae, but that has such a big footprint, you can't put anything around it. So let's see your new ones. Okay, very pretty. I like the direction you're heading in. One minor recommendation I have for you, though, is I would reconsider the bed because it's very, very dark. So I would do something maybe without the large headboard. I like the way the pillows feel, but it has a large headboard that's like blacking out a big section of your scene. What about the Cinderella bed? I think that would look way better here. You have the Cinderella castle anyway, and you have the pumpkin coach, right? So what if, hear me out, what if we pivoted to this bed? You won't have the black headboard. You'll have a white headboard, which even in the dark will stand out a little better. It's got the gold trim. And, it's a Cinderella-themed bed, and you're using some Cinderella-themed items. I think this bed would be a lot better for you, for the snap you've created. And I do think you're in a much better position for 4K with what you have today. These are very beautiful. So main thing I would be concerned with now is the bed. Now, as far as which one of these formats to go with, I love the moon. This one, you don't really have the celestial or the New Year's celebration lights in. I love those. Keep these. These are really nice. Really good dreamy feel. Definitely keep these and the moon. Love the blue swirl. So between these options, I'm actually kind of feeling this one the most. The purple lights are fun, but I would rather see starlight projectors here than these big purple street lights. The blue you're getting from these swirls is enough for that dreamy feel. The moon, the blue right here, and the New Year's lanterns at the top. Not to mention these really fun little companions down here. Now, I don't know if you have starlight projectors, LOTR. If you do, having one on the left and right would be awesome. You might have to move this bed back a bit to have one on the left, but if you swap to the Cinderella bed, you could totally do that. You can move that back. It's still going to be very prominent, very present. You want the bed close, but you don't have to have the headboard like right in the frame. you could do it just like this, you know, where the base of the bed is actually a little bit further behind you, because the bed's still very prominent here, right? So yeah, I would definitely swap to the Cinderella bed, and I would drop a Starlight projector if you have it, one on the left, one on the right. If you don't, then you can have the bed a little closer to fill in that space. But yeah, you're definitely going in a really good direction with this. I think you're going to be a lot safer with this snap. Now, aside from that, I like the pathway a lot. I love the horse. And I like the crystals in the back. The flower beds, they're adding, you know, since the ground here, that's the reason I'm not using flower beds is because the ground here is like crystal, you know, so seeing the dirt piled up inside the planters doesn't look that great. I would either just do the luminescent flowers, but if you check out the scene I've made in Frosted Heights, I actually did not use luminescent flowers. I think it looks better with things like snippets and crystals and the crystal path. Like if you're going to go with the crystal path, embrace that crystal feel. Instead of the luminescent flowers, rely on heavy crystals, rely on the droppable pillows from Time Bending, and then snippets also glow. So, well, one of them doesn't. One of the snippet frogs will not glow, but these ones I'm using will, as you can see from their little glowing headpieces. And, you know, it's even more noticeable if you crank up the light bloom. They'll glow even more. You don't have to do that, though. But the reason I'm not using the luminescent flowers here is because since the ground is... I'm using the ground as either cloud or crystal. I'm trying to avoid, you know, having things directly grow out of the ground that are not crystals, just because it's a, like, crystal-based dream. But if you want to use the luminescent flowers, you totally can. I wouldn't use the flower beds because of the soil. It feels a little out of place. But yeah, I would play up more of the crystal elements. You know, really embrace it, because you did really good with this path here. You could take some more of these, like, medium-sized crystals you have and put some of those behind you. You can pile a few pure ices around them, a few Forgotten Lands crystals around them. You can drop one of those cozy pillows here and then, like, another one over here. And you can find other fun items, like dioramas or things that I talked about in my Thursday video, or memory orbs. Other things that work well as dream items. And, again, if you have the Starlight Projector, I'll definitely use those. But, yeah, I definitely think you're going in a really good direction with that. Again, my favorite of the three, new ones that is, would be this one. The celestial lights look really good. The moon looks really good. The companions look great, and this blue swirl looks great. Biggest word of advice, change the bed. It's absorbing so much beauty out of your shot. It's all black, it's all dark, it's empty, we can't see any detail on the frame. Always think about that when putting items in your snap. If it adds like a big pocket of black where we can't see like any of the wood grain or anything, immediately it should be a red flag. You got no, can't use that. So the Cinderella bed, it's white. You're going to be able to see the details on it. You can also push it a little bit further back. And then I would work on detailing this zone right here. And that's it. That's all you really got to do. I would detail this zone, swap this bed, keep the rest of this set up, and I think you have a very strong likelihood for 4K. JMR. So this was yesterday's. The main thing we discussed was with the sunlight pouring into the room, it's very bright. And since the dream is kind of separate from the room, it doesn't feel convincing that you would be, asleep in here. So we talked about a night version. So let's see. Okay, very cool, very cool. You got a little bit of a glow from the yellow lights coming through here. I think you should use something other than yellow lights, though. Imagine these bookshelves instead of this yellow. Imagine we had a purple glow coming through, or a blue glow coming through. We have this nice deep blue sky. What if instead of these yellow lights, you opted for more of a blue or purple? And also, you have this chair, this beanbag chair, which I believe comes from that same bundle the bed I'm using is from, which also has starlight projectors. So you could get even more beauty out of this room if you put starlight projectors on the bottom left and bottom right. So starlight projectors would beam purple sparkling light into the left and right side of the scene. And then maybe you could put blue lights behind the bookshelves here, because you're already going to have purple. Now you have a blue glow coming from inside the dream, a deep blue in the sky, and purple light with twinkling stars on the left and right-hand side of the screen. Night is definitely better here. This looks a lot dreamier. You're going to get more quality out of your glowing moment. You know, the challenge said capture a glowing moment. This is much better. So you're in the right direction here. Final thoughts, starlight projectors, and a different color light behind the bookshelves, and I think you're good to go. Definitely a good progress so far. Dreamy Dewdrop, hello! First off, wanted to say thank you so much for all the feedback. I really appreciate you taking the time to do so, considering there were so many snaps you had to go through. I went ahead and made a few changes you recommended. I have 2 shots, only because Pegasus facial expressions. Remove the pillows. Honestly, great call, because I struggled for a good hour trying to get the bed even somewhat with the shot because of the whole footprint thing. Yeah, I like the pillows. So, you know, I liked your thought process here with the foreground. But yeah, the footprint on this is so big, you know, you just got to ask yourself, is it worth it to have these pillows if you're not going to be able to have the bed where you want it? You know, it's tricky because I can see why you'd want to use them. They're cool. But yeah, I think the bed's more valuable. Highlighted the bed is more prominent. Changed the memory frame. Adjusted the Aurora Borealis. That's right, yeah, because we had that just up here in the top left, so we talked about getting it more into the backdrop. Added starlight projectors to the front. Nice. And boosted saturation. All right. Well, I'm excited to see. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Wow, really amplified the dream factor here. Love the new memory as well. Oh, yeah, Pegasus' face is really funny in both of these. Oh, man, the squint or the eyes closed? Well, really incredible changes here. Very well done. You incorporated the advice I recommended perfectly. Better than perfectly, actually. This is, like, exceeding my expectations here. Very nice, Dreamy. Very nice. You already had a solid snap here. I think as it was, this had a good shot at 4K. Like, I think it was very likely to get 4K as it was. But I think now it's practically guaranteed. I would be shocked if this didn't get 4K. The beauty factor is exceedingly high. It feels extremely dreamy. It highlights the bed very well. And, yeah, I love Pegasus in both of these. I think for me, I mean, really, which of these Pegasus faces people like more just comes down to individual preference, so it's really hard to say for sure. I really like the squint. I think it looks really funny. He looks like he's cracking up, so I don't know. I like this a lot. And I really like the new memory change, too, because in the one yesterday, you know, we had, like, the note scribbles. And today, you know, this really cute scene with Rapunzel, very fun, you know, ties in well for the dream environment. And that Aurora coming down into the shot and having some up here where your hand is, absolutely beautiful. Starlight projectors adding very magical qualities to the left and right. So, yeah, just, and the boosted saturation just bringing all that together. Amazing. Amazing changes. Beautiful work. Well done. Takai is next. We have yesterday's. You mentioned you could see the lamps in the background and the bookcase wasn't to the top of the picture, as well as wanting to have the glow increased. I now realize I need to look at my picture closer up because my old eyes didn't see what you were saying until I saw it closer. So I covered up the light post and moved the bookshelf. Oh, I think this might be one of the new ones. Yes, this is yesterday's. Okay. I was like, I can't see the book. I can't see them either. Now I can. I tried to add projectors, which was difficult due to the positioning of Pooh and Eeyore. I got some of it in there and added some sparkles for me and Winnie the Pooh into a cozy dream. I just hope voters will think it's cute too. Gave you 2 new ones and the original. Okay, so we got first new one here. Yeah, I do like the glow behind him. Very nice. You won't be able to get one in front because it's right in the foreground, but having that little purple glow behind him I think is strong. And then the other new one I think would be this one here. Oh, I like the twinkly lights on this one. Very nice. So yeah, I think this turned out very well. I still would definitely recommend, you know, I like that you had a glow back here. So I would still put some lights like inside of your trees to try to get these trees to glow a little bit. So you can bring the lights up and still have them, because the glow, even if we can't see the light pole itself, the glow will kind of come out of the plant a little bit, and that way we can get a little bit more of a glow factor in the back. I would try to make it dreamy and glowy as a priority, though, just because a lot of snaps you're going to be up against are, I think, going to be snaps like this that, or at least a lot of the heavy contenders, I think, that are going to perform very well. Snaps that have these high saturation levels and these high glow levels are going to feel exceedingly dreamy. And I think, you know, since so many voters vote, they vote beauty over concept. You know, we saw that with LOTR's picnic basket display. The picnic basket concept was really creative. It was such a good way to do Small Wonder. But it ended up not getting what it deserved because people chose beauty over concept. I think it was very obvious what LOTR was going for with the picnic basket submission. But, you know, more basic snaps that just used giant flowers and pretty elements ended up winning the day. You know, it just ended up being the safer choice. So the Winnie the Pooh scene is a really fun concept, but I think to do this and still compete well against some of the other shots, having some good glowy dreamy elements is going to be strong. You already have a lot of that, though. The pixie dust down here is very good. The starlight projector behind Pooh is very good. I think the only thing you need now is a bit of a glow in the tree line itself. So we wanted to hide the light poles, but you can still bring them up to the edge of the leaves so that that glow comes through a little bit more. That's the only recommendation I have, though. And hopefully voters will appreciate it. You know, I think it's a fun concept. I think it's a good cozy dream. And I really like this. I think people will really like the Winnie the Pooh reaching for honey here. I think that's cute, especially with the sign like right above him. So yeah, very fun, very fun. Well done, Dekai, well done. So we had Bella's shot yesterday. It was this one. You recommended that I go to Frosted Heights, flip the side of the bed, and remove the bookshelves, walls, rugs. One picture is in night mode, and the other two are 2 a.m. One with motifs, obviously. I'm a little concerned my lamps are visible, but I don't think trees will suit the vibe. So for lamps, let me walk you through the lamps real quick. Aside from the lamps, though, the other thing I would be a little concerned with is how much opportunity you have here to do more with this. You see all this empty space in the foreground, all this empty space on your left, all this empty space on your right. You know, if we look at a Crystal Frosted Heights build, notice how, you know, if you take the extra time to like place pocket items, how full you can make this. Like pixie dust, pure ice, crystals, all those things I recommended in my video, snippets, you know, it's all here. You know, you can fill in these spaces, and that's going to make your photo be a lot more full, vivid, defined, and it's going to show voters that you put more effort into it. They're not going to know that you've already rebuilt from scratch a completely separate scene, so they're not going to know how much effort's gone into this unless you make it very apparent with this photo. Now, in regards to the lights, yeah, if you pile them all up like this, you don't need to have trees to hide them. So let me show you. We can go to nighttime here. You see how bright my crystals are? They're brighter than normal, and there's a reason for that. So if we go down, go to nighttime, I have a lot of street lights in here, and they're behind the crystals. I'm hiding them with the crystals. So you could just have the crystals here. Now, the other thing, that's going to be a lot easier to do if you're not building so far away. You're putting everything like across the floating island. Voters like simple. Take the items that look good and bring them in. You also have Cinderella's castle here, which is a beautiful item, but you're covering it with all these lights. Why not bring the castle up and have the lights beside it and behind it, you know? Like, the reason I recommended this castle, if you watch the Thursday video where we discussed it, is because it has really good dream qualities. Like, look at all that beautiful purple light coming out of the building, you know? That's very dreamy. You took, you know, this great house that you could just put right into your photo, and you buried it behind a bunch of other stuff. You really don't want to do that. So it's also going to be easier for you to build your snap if you bring these items closer to you. You don't have to build far away. You don't have to have all that depth of field. It actually hurts you to do that. So what I recommend for you to do from here, you know, you're in the right location, but you're building so far away, and you're covering up really good parts of your snap. Meanwhile, you're completely empty on the left and empty on the right. If you would just bring the castle up, you can have that fill out this whole right-hand side. What you want to do when you build a Dreamsnap, Bella, is figure out where you're shooting your shot. Like, if this is the angle you're going to be using, you know your snap starts here. Right here. Where, you know, hang on, you probably can't see because my camera's covering it. Right here. That's where your snap starts. And this is where it ends. And we have nothing behind this bed. So where your snap starts, there's nothing right back here. So my advice for your snap now, you're in a good location and you have good items. Look at how the Cinderella castle is for me. It's so close that we can't see the top of it. But what we can see is what makes it magical. All these pink glowing windows. We also don't have a bunch of stuff in front of it. We're not putting a bunch of lights there. Notice how the cloud cottage over here on the left comes up to the top of the scene. It comes up to right about here. And the crystals start beside it and behind it. And that's where we put the lights, is way in the back. So the issue you're facing right now is the structure is a little backwards. You're putting the lights at the front, and you're like, I'm kind of worried that people can see the lights. Well, yeah, that you don't want to put them in front of everything. You want to put the lights behind things, and it doesn't have to be trees. I don't know why you would default to thinking trees were the only thing that can hide the lights, of course. These crystals can hide the lights. This castle can hide the lights. The lights are a background element to fill out the voids in your snap, wherever they may be. So you got what I would do right now is I would delete every single light. I would delete the light. I would delete this bear. I would delete this crystal in the back. And I would take the castle first with this angle, and I would figure out where to put the castle. Much closer. So I would put it like right here or right here, one or the other. So I would do either right here for the castle or right here for the castle, but I would have it a lot closer to the scene. Because you want to showcase the front of the castle with all the pink, all the pretty windows. That's why we recommended that for this challenge, because it has really good dream qualities. Now, once you do that, the space in between the castle and the floating cloud cottage, that's where you'll put your crystals. They're going to be a filler item for your background. And then behind that is where you put your lights. Now, for the up house, it can work here, but it's more of a good far background item. So, I mean, you could do crystals there and then just have the house in the back to where we can just see the balloons. But if you want balloons, you could just use the Adventures Out There balloon basket. And you're also really going to want to figure out your foreground. It's completely empty here. And again, you know, there's going to be a lot of really beautiful snaps out there, like, that are full. And also, you know, look at how close the tree is here. This is what I mean when I talk about making a snap more simple. You don't need a snap to be the depth of a football field. You don't need to build so far away. Most people aren't going to enlarge your photo. And houses and big items are beautiful. They have a great beauty factor. That's what people are looking for. Like these gazebos, you know? Imagine if these gazebos were, you know, as far away as the castle you're using. We would barely see it. Instead, the player put the gazebo so close that it comes up to the very top of the frame. And it's okay. The castle's even taller than that, so some of the castle can go well outside of the frame. But look at how much closer the crystals are. The castle, you know, everything has been brought in. And because of that, they don't have to decorate so far back. They only have little pockets they had to decorate. Not only will this help you make your snap more beautiful, but it is going to save you so much time. The tricky thing is snaps like this, where you build really far back, they're going to take more time, more effort, and they're usually going to perform worse. So you're sinking all this time to get a lower result. You got to build closer. It's okay to have some depth of field, but, you know, taking beautiful items like this and burying them in the very back of your build behind the lights when they could be such a great feature is a huge missed opportunity. And because of that, you have, you know, all this empty space you still had to fill. But if you brought things in, you wouldn't have that problem. And yeah, as far as the other ones, you know, it's the same. It's kind of the same issue on all of them. So I would restructure the snap. You're in a good environment for it, but I would definitely restructure. Lee is next. Thanks again for the pointers and advice. As always, battled with the lighting and took your advice on the theme. Hope this is better. Okay. Oh, very cool. Okay. Olaf is fun in this one, but it's very dark. And this one is too. This one has the best lighting of the three, but you had better lighting here yesterday. It's very good that you added a bed, but as far as your lighting issue, the main thing you need to do, Lee, if you want to get better lighting and better visibility on your snap, the main thing you're going to need to adjust is highlight. So let me show you. I'm going to go to a completely dark spot with nothing. So here we are, open, dark zone. As you can see, this is your normal features, normal settings. If we go to highlight, don't do brightness. Brightness whitewashes your whole photo. So I would never use brightness. There's a better slider. So when it comes to lighting, disregard brightness. Go straight down to highlight. Now when you boost highlight, it doesn't whitewash your photo. So this is, thank you, DBS. This is maximum highlight, right? Notice how we still get all the blues. We still get all these beautiful colors. This is maximum brightness. Notice how it makes everything pale. It nullifies the colors. That's why we don't want to use brightness. So your shots, these shots you have here, this can be fixed by using highlight. You'll be able to fix this. And I think we talked about this near the beginning of the stream as well. The camera tool is the key to getting better results, especially when you're taking night photos. Understanding what this is capable of is going to be what separates a lot of people from 1,500 to 4,000. There's not a huge gap in between the two. To get 1,500 moonstones, you got to be around like the top 15% of players. To get 4,000, you got to be in the top 4%. That's not a big gap. So little things like this make a huge difference. And understanding what these sliders do and exactly how they work is ultimately going to, once you have that figured out, once you're not struggling with lighting anymore, you have what it takes to design really good snaps. Like, these are very pretty. You know, you got good silhouettes in the back. You got these beautiful swirls. You got good villager presence. You captured the theme well. It seems to me that the thing you're really struggling with here are your adjustments. And once you figure out, you know, your camera tool, you're going to be able to do a lot you're going to see all of your results improving. So to fix the snaps you have now, the main thing you need to adjust is highlight. It's going to make everything brighter. And then from there, if your character is ever still looking a bit dark, you boost character lighting. Things like light bloom are pretty self-explanatory. Anything that glows or puts off light or is reflecting light, that's going to be amplified with light bloom. Shadows, you don't really need to mess with. It just makes things very white or very black. Color tint, I would not mess with. Color tint adds a filter over your shot. So if we go back, we're going to go green. And if we go forward, we're going to go purple until it's too dark. Do not mess with color tint. All it does is add a huge filter over your entire shot, and I think that might be why yours is so dark. Because when you put a filter over things, it makes everything harder to see. So you lose a lot of light. Unfortunately, a lot of these sliders are useless in this game when it comes to snaps, because they almost always hurt the snap. Here's a little pro tip for anybody trying to learn the camera. I'm going to tell you every slider you should mess with and everyone you should ignore. Time of day, one of the most important, because that's you know, you can set your time of day in the settings too, but still very important because you can kind of get a feel for how all the different times are going to look right here. Focus, very important. You can sharpen up your background, but when you use focus, as you just saw, it resets your other settings. Even though these say they're still set, it reset them. So if you ever adjust focus to 2% to get rid of the blur in the background, it's going to reset your other ones, so you got to set them back to what they were. So it says one highlight, but it's not. We got to go back. Okay. So focus, you're going to want to mess with time of day. Aperture does pretty much the same thing as focus. And when focus is active, if you've already tweaked focus, it doesn't do much at all. You can roll back the focus by making the rest of the shot blurry here, but I wouldn't even mess with aperture much. I would only adjust focus to 2% if you're trying to make your picture less blurry. Contrast, you really don't need. It's too much. If you want more color composition, just use saturation. It's way more clean in comparison to contrast. Contrast, if you turn it up too much, it forces colors to blend together and it gets rid of details. It would look better if it was more like true contrast, but it doesn't work quite the way it should in this game. Saturation is what you want to make your colors more amplified. Don't use contrast, just use saturation. Don't use brightness. Vignette, yes. Default, when it's at 0, it's actually on. There is a natural vignette border on at all times. If you go up with the vignette, it makes the entire outside of your shot brighter. If you go back with the vignette, it makes everything darker. A happy place is default or completely off, set at 1, or rolled back to darken your shot even more. Color temperature, do not touch this. It is going to add green to your shot, yes, but it puts a screen over the entire shot and nukes all your other colors. Same with the blue one, so just don't even mess with it. It's not worth it. It sucks the beauty right out of the shot. So no color tint. Highlight, one of the most important, especially for night. It's the one you want to use instead of brightness. Shadows, not really worth it. That's only 0.3, and it makes the picture unbearable. That's only 0.3 backwards, and it makes the picture hard to see. So might as well not even touch shadow. They did a horrible job with that. Character lighting, one of the most important, especially for nighttime. Not necessary in sunset shots when the sun is hitting you directly, but very crucial for nighttime. Light bloom. This one can be very handy to make things feel ethereal or dreamy. Also, a fun fact with light bloom, it's on by default. Even if it says 0%, there is actually still a light bloom present. Let me show you. And then we're almost done going through these sliders, and hopefully you'll have a better handle on adjusting your lighting. So, here's this item with light bloom at default. And here's this item with light bloom at 1%. Notice how the glow completely went away, even though this is 0 and this is 1. So if you ever want light elements to be more crisp and less hazy, you set your light bloom to 1%. If you ever want your photo to be more ethereal, you boost your light bloom. Rotation can be fun. If you want your picture to feel more chaotic or more adventurous, you know, if you're doing a superhero battle and there's fire and a villain, rotation can be very strong. That's it. That's all the sliders you want to mess with. Nothing else, really. So, time of day, focus, saturation, vignette, highlight, character lighting, light bloom, and rotation. Learn those sliders, and you do not have to learn anything else. So back to your photo here, Lee. I think why you're struggling with lighting is you're using color tint. You have put a filter over this that made the entire shot super dark. It shouldn't work that way. And that's why people get confused. Because color tint should just adjust the color, but that's not the way they set the slider up. Instead, it adds a layer over the entire image, and then it thickens that layer the more you turn it up. Whereas what it should do is alter the color of the photo, but it's not doing that. It's putting a screen over the photo. That's why your photos here are so dark, is because you have a screen in front of them that's blocking all your color. Whereas in this one, you know, you didn't have the screen. But if you boosted highlight here, you know, you can get some more light out of the rest of the shot. So I think that's why you're struggling with lighting. Hopefully now you have a good handle on it. I think it's because you're trying to use sliders in this game that are just horrible. And that's not your fault. It's the way Gameloft designed the camera. You would think they would have done a little bit of a better job with this, considering Dreamsnaps are a core part of the game. But no, not Gameloft. You know, it's whatever, though. I got beef with them about the camera, to be honest. Okay. Uncle Rod. So, first is the original here. You only mentioned it's risky not having a bed. So, I had to remove some things to add one. I also used a different pose because my ma thought it was cute to be looking at the stars. Better or no? Let's see. Yeah, I like the looking at the stars pose. That is cute. You do get better lighting quality on your character here, though. And, yeah, I like... The bed is huge. I think having the bed is really nice. But I did like the original placement of Merlin and the avatar. Your mom is definitely right about it being cute that you're looking at the stars. Unfortunately... It's a fun concept, but voters have proved time and time again, beauty over concept. And I think the beauty factor of your avatar is actually better here because of the way she's catching the light. When you adjust character lighting, it comes in from the left side. So since this pose faces towards the left side, you get this perfect lighting on your crown, on the moons. You get perfect lighting coming off of the chest piece, and then perfect lighting on the base of the dress. Whereas when you face up towards the stars... You'll notice you're only getting a little bit of reflection on the left arm, and we're not getting any of that beautiful shine on the outfit, and that's what makes this outfit strong. So your mom is absolutely right that it's a fun and cute way to storytell with the snap. It's a cute concept, but voters care way more about beauty than they do about concept. So I agree with your mom. I think this is a great choice, but I think voters would like this more. This with the bed. M's is next. You're just trying night shot. I'm not used to night shots. Try my best with the lighting, but I'm not sure if it's too dark. Also added Eve. Okay. All right. So, yeah, you're going to want to make some adjustments. Night's definitely going to be better because the daytime in the room, it doesn't, feel much like, you went to bed. And also with all the space elements, night is just going to be stronger in general. But if you're not used to night shots, that's going to be tricky. So first off, look at what we were just talking about with the sliders, right? If it's nighttime, that's going to be very important. Character lighting, highlight, saturation. That's the big three for nighttime. Character lighting, highlight, saturation. Just keep repeating that to yourself. If you're doing a night shot, you can make it look good with character lighting, highlight, saturation. Those three. If you want to make it more ethereal, you can also boost Light Bloom, but the other 3 are far more important. Now, aside from that, we want to get a bit more beauty in the room here as well, Em. So, one thing about using night is you want to take advantage of the darkness. So, things that glow, things that put off light. The room is still very dark. If you put some street lights behind the bookshelf here, you would have a glow coming into the dream and into the bookshelf. So some blue street lights, you know, you don't have to go too crazy with them. If it's too much, do a little less, but I would have a couple behind this one and one behind this one. That's going to add a nice glow to this. You could do blue, you could do purple, you could do green, but I would add some kind of magical glow to the room and the backdrop of the snap itself. And then starlight projectors. You know, it's a starry scene. It's a space scene. So if you have the starlight projectors, I would have one on the left side of the shot and one on the right side of the shot. That's going to add more beauty and sparkles to the side of the bed, and it's going to brighten up and color up this dark bookshelf on the right. Horizontal is next. So this was yesterday's. Thank you for the advice. I think I've done what you said. I haven't gotten anything from the Peter Pan StarPath because I've only been playing since December. But other than that, I tried to make the dream world pretty with what I have. Does this feel like a dream? Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, very nice. This has a much higher beauty factor. Yesterday, you know, you had all this beauty here on the left, but the solid white bookshelves, you know, this half of the shot didn't have much beauty at all, aside from the avatar, and the left had some beauty. But we didn't have much beauty here at all, because the bookshelves were very obstructive. Now, we got the bed. You got, you know, Eric's castle. The Peter Pan StarPath, the Neverland StarPath stuff would have been so good here, but if you don't have it, you got to do the best you can with what you do have. So, you know, having Eric's castle, I think, was a good choice. I would add a little bit of detail around him, too. So, you know, you have, like, on the left still, you have, like, the coral, you have the anemones, you have these little beadlet anemones. I would put a little bit of that around him as well, because you do have a lot of opportunity for a little bit more around here. I like the glimmer around him, though. I think that's really pretty. And you do have a little bit of coral here. I would just do a tiny bit more, because there's a lot going on over here and minimal going on over here. I would balance it out just a tiny bit more. But yeah, I think this is very solid. You know, the bed is a fun choice, and you really amplified the beauty factor. How this does ultimately, you know, it's going to be a tough challenge, because I think there's going to be a lot of really, really beautiful snaps out there. And I haven't seen very many with the Little Mermaid concept, so ultimately it'll come down to voters. I think popular concepts are going to be things like the Celestial Dreams and things like the Crystalline Dreams, because there's a lot of dreamy elements within those. But this is beautiful enough to stand up against them, and I think that's huge. So I hope this gets 4K. I think it has great dream factor, great dream quality, and ultimately it'll come down to how the voters feel about it, because it's a little different, but I would vote for it for sure. It's beautiful. Steept. So I think this was yesterday's. Hi, Sabai. Thank you so much for the review and advice. I didn't have the items you suggested, but I do tend to hoard moonstones like Scrooge hoards coins. So I told myself not to be greedy, little duck, and bought the bundle you mentioned. Came with the pajamas too, so I tried those to balance out the yellow of the bed. But I can change back the pink dress if you think that works better. I don't think the bed fits my scene a lot anymore. Many things. Okay, well, let's see. Oh, yeah, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I like the new outfit. Honestly, though, you could go with either. Like, the pink dress is really cute with the pink dragon and the magnolia. The new bed looks really good. The starlight projectors look really good. It looks very dreamy. You know, you have one of the dreamiest houses in the game with Cinderella's castle. I think that's just such a good home to use for this. The rocks floating in the sky give it a good celestial feel. We have the crystal path. You know, there's just a lot of good dream qualities here. But yeah, the outfit, I think they're both very good choices. So whether, you know, you could still go with this one if you wanted to go with the pink to balance the magnolias, but I do like the yellow here. You know, this PJ set is very cute. But yeah, the starlight projectors look really nice on the sides. The bed is beautiful. Very solid changes, very solid. Already had I think, a very good snap here, but you've amplified the dreaminess of it even further. So good job, good job. One small thing, this might be annoying to time, and I know this is a small thing, but you see how yesterday these celestial orbs came down and kind of touched here, so they went from here to the top of the frame? That area is empty today, and it filled out this like kind of empty space. It broke it apart because, you know, we have this empty space at the top that goes across here. You really don't have to do this, but if you were to take this shot again and time the New Year's lanterns to where they seal off this side versus this side, I think it would be worth doing because it will feel a little bit less open in the skyline here if you did. But that's it. And they're already set up that way. You would just have to let them rotate and snap your photo at the right second. Beautiful. Well done, Stevie T. Well done. Caroline Rose. I think this was yesterday's. Oh, very nice. Okay, so you opted for no walls. Messed around with the vignette and the light bloom. Yeah, I think the bed is good enough. And, you know, I really like the bed with the blossom tree. It almost looks like the canopy of the bed is hanging off of the blossom tree. That's really pretty. But yeah, beautiful scene here. Very good dream qualities. We got the starlight projectors on the side. The bed is very well featured. And I really like this a lot more without the walls. I think you did good on the walls, though. I've seen a lot of the walls that are just either just the same bookshelf, but the way you flipped them around here, they had a little bit of texture to them, which looked nice. And then you had the wood panels behind them. But I do like it more without them. Seeing this large gazebo in the back is very magical. And also, like I said, it really feels like the canopy of this bed is hanging off of this blossom tree, which is a really neat little feature. But yeah, very solid. You got the lighting saturation down well. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could increase the light bloom even more, but you don't have to. I think things are looking pretty good here. Very, very likely for 4K. Sabina. Okay. I changed the outfit to the yellow one, but I couldn't put the star thingy in the place for them between the bubble machine. I also couldn't get the lighting I had in the first snap. Yeah, it's you got a fog here. That's why. So the fog is breaking it up. It's a lot more crisp here. So that would be your weather controls. So yeah, the lighting is better in the first one, but I do think if you were able to get this one with the yellow PJs, it would look better. But for right now, this one is the better option. The yellow PJs, I think, do really good to break up the pink you have here and on the bed. And it helps tie in some of the yellow you have in the background. It gives the photo a bit more balance, but with the haze over the photo, it's sucking all the beauty and color out of it. So right now, this one's better. If you can capture this one with the yellow PJs, I think that would be your best bet. Sim Lily. Thank you very much for your advice. I think I've done what you said about the situation, or the saturation. I don't know if I should add more small details. Okay. So we got the old snap and the new snap. Crystals behind the celestial pond. Well, oh, you're talking about small crystals? I wouldn't worry too much about that because they're going to be kind of hard to spot. So I wouldn't give it too much thought. Like if you wanted to add some back here, you totally could. But it's going to be very minor detail, so I don't think it'll play a big role in how this performs. It's still, you know, when you boosted the saturation, you got better color on the avatar and on the outfit. But I was hoping we would get a bit more of, or a bit less of a haze in the back. When you use the moon in the back, it does, like, haze out a lot of the things in the background. But usually boosting saturation, maybe you also have highlight turned up, and that's why. Hang on a second. Let me see. Where's my moon? Yeah, see, even for mine, when I boost the saturation, that white kind of haze turns into a blue haze. Whereas in the background of your shot, it's still like a white haze. I don't know what other sliders you have active, though. I was trying to bring out some blue in your background. The boosted... Oh, my weather's changing. The boosted saturation does look good on the front of your photo, but I would love if we can get some more blue in the back of your photo. So, I mean, you know, if I crank it all the way up, it becomes a deep, deep blue. Maybe it's your vignette. Did you reverse your vignette? Because I'm seeing, you know, it's completely different for me. So what I was hoping to do, you know, to play up the beauty of your shot, you got good color at the front of your scene, but the whole shot is kind of whitewashed. And the thing is, you're going to be up against, you know, when it comes to getting 4K, you're going to be up against a lot of colors that are really playing up some beautiful colors. And if your snap ends up pale, like paler than it should be, it's going to hurt its performance. Because there are going to be a lot of snaps that have beautiful, vivid coloration. And even for me, you know, if I adjust my saturation right now, I get a different result than you. So there must be some other setting you have on. Or maybe it's just because you're on Switch. You know, maybe you can't get that good deep blue because it's Switch. I don't know. If you are on Switch, I'm not sure what platform you're on. But that's too bad because, you know, the main reason we wanted to boost saturation was to try and adjust how pale it looks. Like, it's okay for it to fog out the building. The moon always does that. But instead of a very, very pale blue fog, we wanted more of a deep blue fog. That's going to give the Dreamsnap more of a beauty factor. And this is with maximum saturation. And even on maximum saturation, the avatar doesn't look weird or anything. You know, now if I crank the character lighting all the way up, you know, she'll be a little bit too bright, but I would play with your settings and see if there's any way you can get the sky to be less pale. That's the main reason we wanted to adjust saturation. You know, we don't want this pale white in the back. We want a deep blue, even if you have to max out the saturation. Usually maxing out the saturation looks horrible, but with the moon setting, it doesn't. It actually looks really good. So, you know, if you're boosting saturation and you're going like 0.2 or 0.3, that's not going to make a big difference. If you go all the way to 1, however, you're going to get very, very saturated colors in the skies, unless it's just a limitation of the Switch, which I hope it's not. And also, I would recommend having the vignette on in this case. So, by default, it's going to look like this. I think it looks really good at like -32, because then you're going to get deeper blues in the corner. You know, you get deeper blues in the corner and lighter blues in the center. So it's going to break up more of that hazy blue you have. But that's the main thing I think we need to focus on adjusting here. The whole snap is very pretty. The way it's structured is very good. You know, you have the bed in it. You're very much on theme. But to really amp up that dreamy feel, getting more of a vivid color in the sky, I think, is going to be very helpful. And right now, the sky is very whitewashed. And even boosting the saturation didn't really seem to help much with that. So I would check the other settings, and I would definitely experiment. Again, what I'm recommending going with is something like this for your moon. A deeper blue. Should be possible. Gonna have to close some of these out because we gotta make room for more. It's a lot of snaps. Seen some really great changes. I think Discord got closed by accident. There we go. Beyblade is next. So this is the first one. I felt like in comparison to some of the others, it was washed out in color. Should I submit one of the new ones instead? I don't know. I don't think it was washed out at all. You know, that would be more like what we were just talking about, where the colors are pale. But you had bold colors here. Now, for your new ones, you did get the saturation. You know, it is a bit more crisp. So I think that's always a good thing. I like the kitty cat outfit, but yeah, the gold here is very strong. I mean, I love the kitty cat outfit, but it is a pale outfit. And I do think the yellow PJs really pop, especially with like the gold crystal and the yellow and the rainbow and the yellow shooting star here. So I do really like that. I think the reason it might have felt more pale is because I think you had the vignette off. I did mention multiple times yesterday that I think this challenge is better with vignette on, because it does make it feel a little bit dreamier. Or maybe it's not even the vignette, but the placement of your aurora. Because like if I look in the corners yesterday, you know, very, very bright in the corners. And it feels a bit dreamier when there's a little bit of darkness at the top and at the bottom. There are a lot of snap challenges where I recommend no vignette, but this is one where I think the vignette is definitely good to have. And yeah, I like the yellow PJs. I mean, being on the bed is really cute. You know, I do like this. I like the idea of using the magic carpet pose. I think that's a great wow factor. But this one does give a very good look at the avatar. And the like yellow or golden PJs, they really do pop here. So, I don't know. This one might be the strongest in terms of beauty. They're all good, though. I think you were already set for 4K. And I don't really bother, you know, giving too many critiques if I think you're very safe. I think your original was very safe, but this one will probably do even better. Sandra, this was yesterday's. Hey, Zabai, you said my snap was very pretty, but off theme, more of a slumber party. So I kept it for another day and did a new one, hopefully more dreamy. Yeah, this is so beautiful. I mean, potentially, this could get 4K just because it's so pretty. But I think it is risky, you know, seeing as how everyone's making dreams. I do think this comes with a high element of risk. Let's see your new shot. Okay, very cool. I like the Dreamlight projectors. Though I will say, color-wise, the sky here is very pale. Kind of what we were just talking about. This could still do very well if it gets the right voters, because not everyone's going to go for, you know, color. But it's just kind of like, this shot, you had very vivid, very bold colors. And this one, it's more pale, which, you know, it's good for the dreamy feel, but dreamy, you know, it can be colorful and dreamy too. Kind of like with Beyblade, you know, their original snap was really good, but after seeing a lot of what we talked about yesterday, they've decided to go even bolder with the colors. And since you'll likely be up against, you know, within that 4K range, you're likely going to be up against a lot of bold, beautiful, dreamy snaps. I love the way you set this up. I think this is very strong. But if you were to, you know, boost the saturation and get that deep blue sky and that deep blue moon, I think it could look even better. Some people like, you know, the haziness for the dream, and I do really like the house here. This is actually really cool. So that's very fun. But I would try to get more color in the night sky. As far as the room, the starlight projectors are perfect. Feels very dreamy there. And I think this is a great house to use too. Main advice I have on this one is to try to get more of a deep blue in the night sky here and avoid the whiter hazes. The purple haze right here is totally fine. Blue hazes are fine, but the whiter or paler situations I would try to avoid. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just more or less based on what voters seem to gravitate towards is why I would avoid it. It doesn't mean that it's bad or wrong. It's just something, you know, and it can still get 4K if you get the right voters. But the average voter, you know, they tend to really, really like vibrancy and color. Like they put it on a pedestal for the most part. So oftentimes what I'm recommending might not even be my favorite thing. It's just what I see doing the best. Jesse is next. So, original here. Talked about the bed closer. Non-power pose for more of a cozy scene. Peaceful. First three original. Well, we don't need to see all three of the originals. Just one of them is totally fine. We'll look at the new ones. Okay. I think this feels a lot more cozy, a lot more peaceful, which is good. You already had a strong dream snap here. You know, my only recommendations here were, like, the shooting star is cool. But it makes the bed a little hard to see, and we do want the bed to be prominent. And then, on top of that, since the challenge is cozy dreams, and then in the description, it mentions capture a calm moment and a peaceful dream. You know, poses that feel more calm and peaceful, I think, are going to resonate more with the theme. I love that you moved the bed up. It's way more prominent now, but you didn't have that big headboard blocking everything, so very cool there. Merlin looks great, and you look very peaceful and beautiful. Ooh, that one's fun. I like this one. I really, really like the shooting star bouncing off of the bed. What a capture. That's cool. You also got a very nice glow. Good light bloom, like the boosted light bloom on these blue swirls. Looks very magical. The bed is very prominent. I think, yeah, you already had a strong snap, but it could resonate with the description of the theme a little bit better. This one does, and it has some really neat factors. Like, again, I really like the shooting star hitting the bed here. I think that's, especially at the front of the scene, I think it's going to be very noticeable. That's really cool. This, I would say, is probably my favorite out of the three. Because you got a lot of the blue swirls, and then you get this little shooting star here. Very cool. Yeah, solid job. M's is next. So we have our original and new. Okay. Good direction here, Ems. Good direction. So, you know, the room here, same bookshelf a few times. In this case, it would just be stronger to just go without the room and just go with the bed. Now, this is a good dreamy scene, but I do have some recommendations for you to finish this up. It's looking really good so far. Just a couple minor things that I think will have you done with this for sure. So, first off, the starlight projector. This one's kind of on the edge of the shot, but this one is well past the edge, right? So let's zoom in, and I can kind of break down what I'm saying here. So here we are in your bottom right-hand corner, and this is where the projector stops. It goes from here to here, right? So it stops right about there. Now on your left-hand corner, it doesn't start until it's right here. So this one needs to move left. You want these, if you're using two, if you're running one on the right and one on the left, balance is key. So take this starlight projector and move it a full space over, maybe two. But you want it positioned just like this one. Now, once you do that, the next thing you should try to do is fill in this big gap. You have this, you know, if we look on this side of your shot, you got the bed, fill in this whole zone, and then behind that we have a book, we have the horse, we have these flowers. It's all very well detailed. And then when we look at the left, it's just a big empty space next to you. And then the fun starts. That's when we start seeing the details. So what we need to do is take this starlight projector and move it left so that it's matched up with this one. And then add a bunch of fun details in here. You can bring this crystal path down, loop it around right here, add crystals around it. You can add those droppable pillows. You can do, you know, you have these giant crystals in the back. There are also the small versions of those crystals. They're like medium. You can put some of those in here. The mushroom might block you from putting things right here, but small things can go here. So small decor, you know, pure ice, crystals from the Forgotten Lands. Little items like that, you can kind of pile them in here. But I would definitely try to fill out this section. If you do that, your entire snap will feel complete. Right now, it still feels a little bit incomplete due to the fact that the whole thing is full except for this one spot, which makes it feel like it's unfinished. So move this starlight projector to the left, fill out this base spot, and you're going to be looking really good. Very, very good improvement. I mean, this is a huge change from yesterday. It's very, very dreamy. And it captures so much more beauty. Like, yeah, this nice little scene back here yesterday, but it's a very small part of your snap, and that's where all your beauty was. Now that you've pivoted, put the bed here, now you have all this beauty throughout the entire shot. Very strong dream. So great job, great job. Well done, Ems. Switch Mama is next. So this was yesterday's. Took your input, widen the door. I had to fill out a bit more, so I added the horse, Pegasus. Okay, so yeah, we talked about making your dream space bigger. Kind of like what we see here, right? Like, just like the snap we re-reviewed before your Switch Mama, Ems had kind of a similar thing yesterday. Very small dream space and a lot of bedroom. So they pivoted, and they just went with the bed. Now they have a beautiful dreamscape. So lots of beauty in their shot. Now for yours, we got yesterday's, and then you have today's. One thing I would recommend is in both shots, like yesterday I mentioned we can barely see the bed, like at least it's there, so that's good, but I would try to feature the bed prominently if possible. Like you see how we can see like the whole bed in this one kind of hanging in. It's there, though. So, like I said yesterday, it's good you got it, you know. But I also mentioned, you know, if possible, highlighting the bed a bit more prominently. I mean, at this point, do you need the bedroom? You know, look at how your dream snap can turn out without the bedroom. In some cases, you should keep the bedroom. If the bedroom is stunningly beautiful and it's got a lot of cool details, then keep the bedroom. But in this case, you know, the wall is like, you know, we have the bookshelf several times. And we only get a tiny view of the dream. when we go to make it bigger, what I said was same angle, just get rid of this bookshelf and use this opening. Now instead, you kind of change the room entirely. At this point, I would just get rid of the room, because what I was suggesting was the exact same shot, but remove this bookshelf and have this whole part right here as your opening. That way you can get more value out of that dream space. Now you've pivoted to where there's no wall at all on the left, and it ends right here. At that point, just get rid of the bedroom. All you need is the bed. So I think you should do what Ems did. They had a really great opportunity to play up this beauty in the back yesterday. And the bedroom here was limiting a lot of that beauty. Even though it's not a bad bedroom, it just doesn't carry the same layer of beauty that this dream scene would. So instead, they opted to have the bed and a little bit of stuff from the bedroom, like the horse and the book. You don't need to have the walls, especially if there's no wall on the other side, So at this point, I would just get rid of the walls. I would move the bed to where we can see it better. And I would avoid very bright hazes. What we want, Switch Mama, is color. So this harsh white light coming in from the left side, I don't know what's causing that. I don't know if there is a light there or if it's the time of day. But I would try to limit how much of that is coming in. You want to play up colors if possible. And avoid anything that has like a white, gray, or black kind of haze to it. There's going to be a lot of snaps out there like this where there's a lot of glowing elements, a lot of beauty. You've seen a lot of them this week as we've done these reviews. So if you had gone in the direction I was kind of hinting at or recommending, if you got rid of this bookshelf and you kept the rest of this room, then that would be one thing. But since everything has changed, like the bed has changed, the wall has changed, there's no wall on the left anymore. At this point, my advice changes because this is a different snap. So the advice I have now is I would do away with the bedroom entirely. And I would position this bed to where, or a different one that doesn't have to connect to the ceiling if you want, maybe even a smaller one, and have that here on the right-hand side. And then play up your backdrop, but avoid having too much white. So, the white cloud, all this white light pouring in on the side, white Pegasus, white puff balloon, all this bright yellow light back here, it is absorbing a lot of the color out of your snap. And I think it might be time of day as well, because the sun is in the background. The sun is behind your snap. We can see the shadows coming towards you. So time of day is going to be important here. And the items you're using is going to be important. If you don't have time to rework it, just go with the original. The original is better than this. Because if you're going to do the bedroom thing with a barrier, you're going to need the other side of the wall too. And the part of the dream scene you're showing us it's too pale. So this is the better shot. So just go with this one if you don't have time to make changes. If you have time to work with this tonight, you can. But I would recommend just doing away with the bedroom entirely at this point. Just keep the nightstand, keep a bed, and then play up colorful, beautiful, glowing elements. And keep in mind, this is what the competition has. These beautiful, bright, vivid colors, these dreamy environments, the aurora borealis, glowing mushrooms, glowing crystals, glowing castles, glowing bubbles. And it's not just this snap. This is what you're up against if you want to get 4K. So, if you want to compete with snaps like this, you're going to have to really master the art of lighting and saturation. So what's hurting the snap you have today, Switch Mama, is, for one, the sun is kind of at the back of the build. Now, you could do nighttime And then you can boost highlight and saturation. And that would look better. But the other issue is, if you're going to open up your scene, how are you going to compete with these other snaps if you don't do anything with this space? Like, all we did here is we put Pegasus here. You have a memory frame here, but Pegasus's booty is covering it, and then we have nothing behind him. So now the scene feels a bit incomplete. So yeah, I would say just go with yesterday's. I think you'd be a bit safer here. I think you'd have a better chance at 4K. But if you don't want to go with yesterday's, your only option from here, realistically, would be to get rid of the walls entirely, because you would need a wall on the left and a wall on the right, which is why for your original shot, I just recommended getting rid of this bookshelf to open up the dream more, so we can get more of the dream beauty. Instead, the angle changed, you know, the walls changed, the bed changed. For the re-review, if you check the rules, it's very hard for me to do a helpful re-review if it's not the same snap and if you do a bunch of stuff that I didn't really mention, because at that point, you're not really following what I'm saying. I know everybody interprets things differently, but in the future, I think I can help you more if, when I give advice on snaps, you focus just on that. Like, if I don't say you should change the bed, leave the bed. If I don't say change the angle, leave the angle. And if I say you should open this up and remove this bookshelf, just do that. And then we can build up from there. But if I say, hey, you might want to get rid of this bookshelf and open this dream up more, but then you get rid of the bed, you swap out the bed, you get rid of the bookshelves, you add a different type of bookshelf, you change your outfit, you get rid of the table here, you move the horse, like, everything is different. It's not really a re-review. This is like a new first-time review. Does that make sense? So in order for it to be a re-review, it needs to be the snap we were working on. The only thing that's the same is the Imagination Land banner, really. And again, I can help you more if, you know, just try not to spiral when making the review stream changes. Try to just focus on what we're talking about, because if you start changing a lot of stuff, then we can't move forward. You know what I mean? But for now, this one's better. Just go with this one. That's going to be your better bet for this week, for sure. Jingle Bells, you're up next. We got yesterday's. Jen said, first is the OG secondary, second is secondary review. You suggested getting rid of the closet and woodfall on the left, or just pull the Starlight projector in more. I had put some stuff down behind the wall because it was empty, but is it too chaotic like this? I don't know, let me see. Well, there certainly is a lot going on, and it is cozy dreams. It does mention calm. It does mention peaceful. But at the same time, Jen, we have seen a lot of snaps that are busy, you know, that have like a lot of things happening, especially the celestial ones. A lot of them have shooting stars. A lot of them have these blue swirls. So there, you know, there are a lot of snaps that have, you know, a good bit going on. Like this one, you could say has a good bit going on. There's balloons in the sky. There's shooting stars. There's a rainbow. Joy is celebrating. So it's hard to say whether it will be too much for some people. It is a lot, for sure. You do have a lot going on. Maybe it would be good just to dial it down a little. Like, I don't think you have to go back to having the wall, but possibly just lowering a little bit of the different elements, like the wish blossom flowers. Maybe you don't need those. And maybe, I mean, I do like the blue swirls. I don't know. It's hard to say, you know. Busy, usually to me, there's a big difference between detailed and busy, right? Like, busy's usually negative. detailed is usually good. What makes a busy snap different from a detailed snap? To me, it's whether or not things belong. But in a dream, it's hard to say what does and does not belong. Now, you do have a lot of moving parts, you know. The rainbows, the blue swirls, the planets. You know, there's a lot of moving components here. If you wanted it to feel like there was less energy to make it more calm, you could choose certain elements to roll back. Like, you could roll back having the celestial planets. Like, if you want to embrace crystals, you know, you can head in that direction and you can go less celestial. If you wanted to do the crystals and the planets, you could roll back the blue swirls. And with the blue swirls, you know, we would be able to see the pathing as well. But it all comes down to, like, what element would you want to roll back? There's not really a right answer. Or, like, you know, like one thing I would say, yeah, get rid of that so it feels more peaceful and calm. I do think peaceful and calm is kind of the route to go. And I know, at least for the dream scene that I've assembled here, I got to finish this tonight, though. I still got to set up my avatar and move some things around. I got some plans to make this really pretty. I've been too busy, so I haven't been able to do it yet, but I will do it tonight. But like with my snap here, it focuses on the calm and peaceful and I kind of want to add the blue swirls to it. I might, but if I do, I'll probably just put them on the edge of the frame so there's not too much of it going on. I wanted to kind of choose a concept for this dream and make that the feature. And for this one, it was like a crystalline cloud concept. You know, we're combining the cloud home and these fluffy little clouds with crystal pathing and a lot of crystals in the background. And to play up the clouds, we have air balloons as well. So, like, that's the idea here. And another thing that plays up the clouds would be the birds, you know, because they belong in the sky. We have a little snippet floating next to me here. And there's the birds holding the ribbon over here on the left-hand side. And it's got a lot of detail, but there's not as many moving parts. So maybe what you can do if you're worried that it's too busy is refine what you're using by deciding on a specific type of dream. So, for example, looking at your photo, you know, you have the candy house and the candy path and the imagination land banner. Do you want to do candy or do you want to do cloudy? You know, you have the cloud house, but we also have, like, you know, there's the candy side, there's the cloud side, there's the celestial side, there's the crystal side, there's the anemones. And you can combine two different things. Like, I did clouds and crystals, but I would be careful to do, like, clouds, crystals, candy, and, like, ocean elements, because then it's a lot of moving parts and it's hard to really, you know, it might feel too busy is what I'm getting at. I'm not saying it is, but I can see your concern there. I think there's definitely a lot of potential here with the beauty, because you have, and even the shot yesterday, you know, even just this half of the dream that we saw was already had the same thing going on as this. This one just has more beauty because it gets rid of the emptiness. You know, we have more beauty. And this side is it's not as busy. You know, it's a bit more calm. I like the cloud house. I like the blue swirls and the crystals. Like, that looks really good. But maybe you don't need the mushrooms. You know, you could just do more crystals. Or you can just fully embrace candy. I don't know if you have the sweet house, but if you wanted to do candy, you could always roll back things like the blue swirls and the planets, and you can do the sweet house. But the downside to that is a lot of the candy stuff doesn't glow. It doesn't put off light quite the same. If you did do candy, I would do candy and crystals, because crystals could look like sugar candy. You know what I mean? So, and crystals glow. But then I wouldn't do as much with, also Vanellope's house does have some glowing elements. I wouldn't do as much with, like, mushrooms or anemones. But yeah, if you're worried about busyness, you could always refine it by choosing a concept or a dual concept and focus entirely on beautiful items that play up those concepts. But you don't have to. I think you still got a good beauty factor here, but I can definitely see your concern with like how much is going on in the shot, but it is really pretty. Creeping is next. First is the original, second is the new. Okay. Thanks for the advice. Totally missed those earrings left over from last week's snap. Changed the hair. Yeah, I figured they were from last week. Added some details I suggested. Little details make all the difference. Absolutely. So it looks like you dropped some memories in here. Very cool, very cool. Also, I like that you got Joy doing a memory. Now, when I mentioned bringing memories in, I wasn't talking about memory orbs when I was talking about utilizing space. I'm talking about things you would think about in a dream. So, like these dioramas that we got from the exhibition, like, you know, this could be a memory within a dream. The other thing I was talking about, we've seen it in some other snaps. It was in my video on Thursday. And you're using the inside out character, so this could work for you. But let me find inside out. Yeah, what I was talking about when I mentioned memories was, you know, when we dream, usually things that happen throughout our day or memories we've had in the past, they show up in our dreams. So a good way to fill out your dream, if you have open space, is by utilizing memories. So something cute like this could be good to have in your snap. You know, and these could be great to fill out your snap. But I wasn't really referring to memory orbs. I do think the orbs are pretty. If you want to use those, that's totally fine. But, you know, in my YouTube video about the challenge, when I talked about memories, I'm talking about things that would come up in your dreams. Since this is Dreamlight Valley, you know, we have these dioramas of, like, things that, you know, we've experienced being present in our dream to, like, highlight that we're reliving old moments inside of the dream. Now, back to your shot here. The extra details, like the crystals, very good. This over here, in particular, like around the lighthouse, really good job with that. Like, you added a big blue crystal here, because we could see, like, under the cloud house yesterday, and there was all this empty space in front of the lighthouse, and now, boom, we have all these beautiful details right here. Another fun one here. I would try to bring your details all the way around. We still don't really have anything behind the puff balloon. Like, you could do some more big crystals right here, like behind it, just to, you know, just so there's something, some texture back there. You could take another one of these pink ones. You can just alternate pink, blue if you wanted to. And then I would say a little something here could be fun, like the pink pillows that you get from time bending. You can just place a little pillow right here, nice and cozy, nice and comfy. But finding ways to fill out open space in your snap is a great way to separate yourself from other snaps. And we still have a ton of open space behind you. You do have these memory orbs around you, but there's still a lot of space here and around these orbs. If we look at, you know, my example scene, if I move through here, you'll notice that, you know, that's why I broke this path off into two directions. That way it can fill out more of this open space. And in this big open pocket, you know, we have little snippets and the pillow, and you can't see too much of this area because these crystals stand up and they block it. So if I get right here in my shot and we open the camera, pretty much wherever we look, there's no open pockets in the scene. There's maybe one right here, but I'm not done with the snap just yet. But, you know, there's crystals and a rose over here on the right corner. There's crystals on the left. The path goes over here, then it goes over here. And then in our background, behind our house, we have a wall of crystal. Anywhere we can see past the buildings, there's like a wall of crystals, like glowing crystals. So, you know, filling out the snap, I think, is going to be important. And we still kind of have a big gap right here behind you. These 3 memories, this is a big space for just 3 memories. You got a lot of good details in the back here, but I would figure out what to do with this zone right here. And I would bring this path down further, because like that would be a great way to fill out the spot around Joy. Like the path just stops right here before Joy. Why not have the path come down out of the frame right here? Because you got really good color here. It feels very dreamy. So I think this has a high chance at 4K. But I think you could pretty much guarantee 4K if you finish, you know, filling out some of the negative spaces. It's okay to have small pockets of empty space, but I would avoid big pockets like this. I know you have 3 memories and sadness in here, but that's a big spot for a tiny villager and 3 orbs. You know, as far as what you can put there, snippets, pillows, more crystals, you know, there's all kinds of fun little things, little trinkets you could put in there. And then miscellaneous things. Also, you know, the memory frame we talk about, you can have one maybe back here behind the balloon. You can have more crystals back here. And then over here where we can see, like, under the house, you could put a few more pure ice and forgotten shards so we can't see under the house as well. Then you don't have to worry about filling out anything back here. But yeah, I think you're just about done with this. The color, again, looks really good. You got the avatar cleaned up very well. The hair makes a lot of sense. The earrings being taken off works well. The cloud house looks good. The bed's in a good spot. Joy's captured perfectly. I love that she's holding a little memory here. And you can likely get 4K just how it is. But, you know, if you want to lock it in, getting a bit more detail and sealing off the backdrop here a bit more, I think would all but seal the deal that this gets 4K. Scuttle finally got to you. So this was yesterday's. A very beautiful snap. You know, I love that deep blue on the moon. We got really nice light bloom. Feels very dreamy. The bed is very prominently featured. Beautiful snap. Now, with the changes, you've brought in the starlight projectors. And now, not only do we have this beautiful, vibrant blue, but we've added this glowing purple to the sides. Feels way dreamier. Great job there. And you have a version with Merlin as well. I really like that. Yeah, I think the ones with Merlin are the best. Now you have 2 versions. One with a shooting star here. One with the fireflies a bit more in the top left. I actually like the fireflies up here a bit more than the shooting star. It just doesn't fill out as much space. And this pocket here feels very open. But with this one, the fireflies cover this, and the aurora covers this. So I think this one feels the best. Merlin looks really good. I would definitely go with him. But yeah, solid changes, Scuttle. The starlight projectors look really good. Merlin's very strong. Good lighting, good portrayal of the dream space, and the bed is very prominently featured. So I think you're very safe this week on this submission here. Looks great. All right. And I think that was the last one that's come in today. Or at least, you know, before we got started. Actually, I think Scuttle put theirs in after we got started, but I gave them approval to send it in. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to visit chat real quick. Now that we're all caught up. Bell says I'm voting on some gorgeous snaps. Nice. Lucky. Yeah, it's hard to find the good ones when you're out voting. It can be tough sometimes. All right. I think we got everybody, guys. How you feeling? At this point, I would usually take additional re-reviews if we had more time in the stream. But we're already 1 hour over. And also, I streamed for about a good 6.5 or 6 hours yesterday. So, yeah, I still got to finish my own Dreamsnap. So now that we're done helping everybody with theirs, it's time for me to go work on one of my own. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Snap Reviews this week. One of the busiest weeks we've had. I figured it would be. This is a very interesting challenge, and there are a lot of fun ways to approach it. But I really like what you guys have put together for this one. Lots of very strong options out there. And I think a lot of you guys are going to do very, very well with this theme. I'm excited about finishing mine. Samantha said I'm all dream snapped out. Dude, I am too, and I got to do my own. But you know what? Even though I'm a little dream snapped out right now, I'm excited to make mine because I really like this challenge. So I'm going to enjoy this. And then we got to work on a new Snap environment for tomorrow's challenge. So when we go live tomorrow, it's right back to the Dreamsnap grind. We got to make some example scenes for Thursday's video. But I'm definitely looking forward to Thursday. I can't wait to play Pokopia again. Because, like, you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's all about snaps for me. So, like, my little bit of break from snaps is Pokopia. So I'm excited to get back into it on Thursday. And I've been working... Dude... You know, Friday, I showed you guys the, we were working on the fire cave. I actually uploaded a TikTok about it. I'm going to put it on YouTube once I end the stream. But I uploaded a new TikTok about it. And the fire cave I'm building looks crazy good right now, dude. It's probably the craziest build I've ever made. It's really cool. I can't wait to share with you guys on Thursday when we go live with it. Samantha said, will you use the starlight projectors? Nah, I was actually just sabotaging everybody. They look really bad for this challenge. And I want to make sure I get 4K. So what I do is I go on these review streams and I tell everybody to use items that are bad. And then everybody that watches me gets 2,500. And then I have a better chance of getting 4K because now they're not going to do as good because they're believing me and they think they can actually use the starlight projectors. I can't believe they bought that. Nah, of course I am. They look really good. Imposter? No. I knew I liked you for a reason. No, I'll definitely use them. They're great. I mean, I only recommended them for, like, every single submission I saw. But to be fair, I mean, you know, if you go through and look at the submissions, like, look at the re-reviews, everybody that added the starlight projectors had... they all looked better, you know? Like, they're so dreamy. They're very good for the dreamy element. You just want to make sure they're balanced. I saw a few people using them that would have, like, one in the middle and then one on the right. No, you need one on the left, one on the right. You want the same space between them. You know, they're very cool, looking very cool. But yeah, I'm excited to do my snap, you know? I'll probably do sunset lighting. I'm still undecided. I could do nighttime. I could even do moon, but it's not, I don't know. Moon isn't quite as pretty with the setting I've created because the crystals are so pretty and you don't really see them in their glory with the moon setting. So I'll probably do either, you know, daytime or regular nighttime because then we can actually see the crystals. Kind of leaning towards sunset, but to make it feel more nighttime, I'm leaning towards sunset with a heavy, vignette. So heavy vignette, sunset. Gonna change my avatar a little bit, change my outfit a little bit. Probably gonna go with a greatly enhanced saturation, but try to make sure the avatar doesn't look, you know, like she's got sunburn. And most likely gonna do like an enhanced light bloom. I mean, I could even do something like this at night. It is very magical. I don't know, I think I'll probably go sunset, most likely. All right. Well, that'll be it for today, and thank you again, my friends. Goal number 151. Absolutely insane. Thank you. Big shout out to all of those of you who hung out on YouTube, and Yeah, don't worry. Tomorrow's stream, I will actually be reading chat. Mondays and Tuesdays have been getting so busy with the reviews. I feel bad because, like, a lot of people come in for the first time, and I don't even get to say hello because I have so many snaps to review that I'm just, like, constantly locked in on the Dream Snaps. But that's a good problem to have, you know? It shows that the Dreamsnap review streams are popular, and a lot of people get good advice from them, and, you know, it makes me happy. So, it's a good thing. But yeah, if you're new here and I didn't talk to you today, I do apologize. I do apologize. I that's the one thing about the snap reviews that I dislike, because normally I am a very chatty streamer. You know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I am constantly reading comments. I almost never shut up. If you say something, I'm likely to read it. I'll constantly be chatting with you. That's one of the reasons I've been successful as a streamer for a while. I've always been very, very chat-centric. But with these reviews, it's just so hard to keep up with chat because unless I want to be here till midnight, you know. If I stop to read chat in between every review, like, yeah, maybe if we only had 10 reviews, yeah, I could do it. But like 60, I'd probably die. All right, well, time to go work on my snap. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you as always. Much love. Appreciate you. Stay safe, stay awesome, and stay healthy. We will catch you for Refresh Day tomorrow as we check out the new Dreamsnap Challenge and we build some new example settings for this week's Dreamsnap guide video. What did I just pick up? I don't even know. I just ruined my Dreamsnap. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye. See you next time.